Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, as we open the show, as we speak right here, right now, President Trump, a meeting continues from the White House, meeting with business leaders. They're now talking about the gold card that people can buy to get into our country. He says it's like a green card, but better. So having said that, we do have some economic news today. There's some news out of the Fed with some rate cuts. There was an interesting moment last night at the Trump rally. It's just crazy to even say right now, the Trump rally. Trump is talking about how great the economy is, and he brings up a young lady who once worked at one of his offices, and she talked about how bad the economy is. And then there's some other economic news that kind of sums it up, where the economy is at, and it's not good. And for the Republicans to ignore this issue or just outright lie about this issue is bad politics, bad optics, and bad politics. So we'll look at that. Now, the big news is, and I've been sitting at my desk here for a couple hours monitoring the situation when it comes to Venezuela, and I've got some interesting news on Machado, who is supposed to replace Maduro. You know, she was the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, but she didn't accept the award today. No. What's up with that? Well, I'll tell you. And in the backdrop, the United States has just seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. And this happened about 2 hours ago. Fox hasn't even mentioned it yet. Fox News has not even mentioned it yet. Meanwhile, CNN and MS Now, formerly MSNBC, they've just started talking about it. This happened a couple hours ago. This could be huge. I don't know what the implications. There's very little information coming out about this right now. But we'll tell you. The information we have, we'll tell you. But doesn't it just show there's a larger escalation happening right now in Venezuela? It's not good. This is maybe the biggest escalation on that situation. I mean, you could argue more than the boat strikes, which is crazy to say because those were fatal. But I think it's true. So Trump is taking questions right now. It's becoming a redundancy factor, though. There's other geopolitical news. The United States threatening the International Criminal Court. Israel violates its peace deal with Jordan. Everybody's surprised, right? We've got more information about the National Defense Authorization Act today. And Thomas Massie is addressing some of these issues. He has proposed amendments to this bill. We'll go through those amendments. Thomas Massie has also proposed getting the United States out of NATO. Boy, these are the things that President Trump used to stand for. These are the things that 2016 Trump campaigned on and what we voted for. Now it's Thomas Massie who's running on these issues. And it's Trump that's against Thomas Massie. That's a wild development. Isn't politics strange? Jeffrey Epstein back in the news. A great Elon Musk interview with Katie Miller, who Katie Miller, I guess, you know, she kind of just comes out of nowhere as the wife of Stephen Miller and starts hosting this podcast. I didn't know anything about her before that. She does a good show. She does a good interview. I'll give that to her. And Stephen Miller probably outkicked the coverage on that deal. Huh? So we got a lot of interesting clips from Elon Musk with Katie Miller. And then a lot of interesting Tucker Carlson clips as well, as it is now officially 3 months since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and some people are breaking their silence. Maybe we'll do a little bit of that here today. But it looks like Tucker Carlson and I are very much on the same page. So find out what that page is. All of that and more coming up on today's Owen Report.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
Folks, let me ask you a question. Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of somebody doxing you, threatening you, publishing your private personal information online? And if the answer is yes, unfortunately, you are becoming part of a larger group of Americans that are victimized by these things. Unfortunately, this happened to me. Unfortunately, both of these things, identity theft and my private information being posted on the internet, both of these things happened to me. And you might think, well, how is it even possible? Well, you'd be surprised to find out how readily available your personal information, your private information, like your address, your family members, you'd be surprised to find out how much of this stuff is posted online. So you need to do what I did. And you need to go to protectwithowen.com and get yourself a Patriot Protect account. Okay? Protectwithowen.com. Now, here's one way this happens. There was a breach into Gmail. Whistleblowers just sounded the alarm on this, hitting 183 million user accounts. Likely you listening to this if you have one. That's millions of email passwords that were stolen and are now circulating online, putting bank accounts, emails, and more at risk. Google is publicly denying the severity of the breach, but the real problem is far worse. Those leaked Gmail logins came from criminals compiling people's personal information from data brokers, people search sites, and public databases. Right now, your address, phone number, workplace, and even family members are sitting on the open web. You can't believe it, folks, but it's true. This is fuel for scammers, hackers, and anyone who wants to target you. Patriot Protect fixes the problem at its root. The Gmail leak has much more serious implications. Your life being exposed online, Patriot Protect removes that exposure. We scrub your personal information from Google search results, over 100 data broker and people search sites. Folks, that's the big one. Hidden databases that feed scammers. This is the private stuff they pay for. And Patriot Protect automatically removes any personal information of yours that gets repopulated on these sites. 24/7 protection. By the way, bonus fact, over 90% of Patriot Protect users report a significant drop in scam and robocalls just 1 month after signing up. I could see how those two things are connected. Folks, you don't want to be victimized this. Take action before it's too late. Go to protectwithowen.com. Protect your private information from people that can access it online and try to target you. Go to protectwithowen.com.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right. We were uncharacteristically tardy today. Uncharacteristically. The Owen Report is not late. No, we were uncharacteristically a little late today. Had an extended business meeting before the show. May talk business later on the show if I run out of news to cover, which I doubt will be the case. But had a business meeting before the show. All things are good. All things are good. I want to thank the audience. I want to thank the audience that tunes in every day. I want to really thank the audience that has supported our sponsors. It's really great, folks, to be able to have a show like this and the format like this be totally independent and have sponsors that don't want to get in the way, that want to let me be me. It really is a rare combination, I have to tell you. This is a small operation. It looks like it's crazy when you're sitting here in the studio, but it's a small operation. It's me. I run it. And then I have two people that work for me in a very limited role, one that has a more expansive role, and then one a very limited role. And then we just have a great team of sponsors that want the show to go on. So please support the sponsors. But that's why I'm late today. Had an extended business meeting. Didn't expect it to go that long. All things are great. For the first 2 months of a show that started like this, all things are great. And so I give all glory to God. I want to thank the team that has helped make this show a success, and to the sponsors as well, and to the audience. So just want to say, after having that business meeting right before the show, it's fresh on the mind. So I just want to get it off. But it's been great. It's been great. And the Owen Report, to infinity and beyond. So how about that? All right. So now that that's off the top of mind. Now, I was preparing a couple of things. Today, and that would be this escalation now that we have in Venezuela. U.S. seizes oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Okay. So that's kind of a big one. There were some election results last night that these have to be the most alarming yet. I don't know. We've had a series of elections in 2026. And for the most part, it's been nothing but losses for the Republican Party. But I think that after last night, with the mayor's race in Miami going Democrat for the first time in like 30 plus years, and then there was another special election in a deep red district of Georgia that went Democrat. And then I see the same thing happening in the commentary space in response to this. And they say, well, this is what you get for talking about. In fact, well, this is what was coming at me after this. I'm told that this is my fault because I won't stop talking about foreign policy or the Epstein list. But then generally speaking, because I wade into those issues, but then generally speaking, it's, Republicans are losing elections because there's infighting on the right wing, and there's the streamer wars and the podcast drama and all of this stuff. And while there's no denial that that is going on, nobody's denying that. Is it good or bad? Whatever, make up your own mind. It doesn't matter. To blame the podcast world, to blame commentators and talk show hosts or streamers, whatever it is, to blame them instead of what's actually going on in Washington, D.C. is so misguided that misguided is not even the right word. You're not even on the map. You're not even looking at the right target. If you believe that podcast drama or internet beefs has anything to do with Republicans losing elections, you're not even on the right map. Forget about being misguided. Forget about missing the target. You don't even see the target. You're not even on the map of reality, if that's really what you think. Now, if you want to argue about policy, then that's fine. And then you can look at polls, or you can have your own human intelligence and decide what policy is popular, what policy is unpopular. But even that is not the big issue. If you're wondering why Republicans are losing, look at the Republicans. If you're wondering why Republicans can't win an election in 2026, look at the Republicans and you'll find your answer. Look at the administration and you'll find your answer. This has nothing to do with insert your favorite podcast beef here. and has everything to do with the lack of results from the Trump administration and from the Republican Party. So we got that. I boiled it down to 4 clips from the Elon Musk interview with Katie Miller, the 4 ones that I found the most important, because you just don't get anybody that talks like Elon. And there's some that have tried and they end up just sticking their foot in their mouth. Because I don't know, I'm sure communicating in the billionaire world is different than communicating with, the rest of us peasants. And Trump is normally good at it. Musk is great at it, though, because it's like his mind, the communication methods that he has in his mind are very effective. Very effective. So some interesting stuff. And now, too, and I'll get to the news after this, but Tucker was on the Theo Von podcast, had some interesting things to say. And, of course, there's still the drama. There's still the drama surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination now 3 months later. And so people are opening up about that. And I guess, I don't know if Erica Kirk is, I don't know if she's finished with her Fox News tour. She was on, I think it was Outnumbered this morning, and she had a very passionate segment. So, of course, that's drawing some more attention, some more drama to the issue. But I'm gonna say some things in the show, and later on in the show, maybe the third hour, we're gonna dive back into that now that it's the 3-month anniversary, if you can even say that. I don't know how else to say it. Doesn't seem right to say it that way, but it's been 3 months now, and there's some news that has developed. There's some news stories. So I always said, look, here's the conclusions I've reached, and here's how far I'm willing to go, and here's why. And when there's new news developing, we'll break the news and we'll cover it. And so there's some new news we're going to get into today. But it's the same issue with the elections. It's like, oh, I'm gonna blame the Republicans losing elections on this. And it's like, dude, you're not even anywhere near the target if you think that's why Republicans are losing elections. And it's like the same thing is happening with the Charlie Kirk assassination conspiracy theories. And there's all this finger pointing and finger wagging and blaming. And I'm like, you guys, you're off target. You guys are missing the target here. You're not even on the map. And it's funny enough because it's the same people. It's the same people that are missing the target, that are so misguided on why Republicans are losing elections. And it's the same group of people that are so misguided and so missing the target on why nobody trusts the official Charlie Kirk assassination theory. They're just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. And I'll say this, which is not really connected, but I feel like it's kind of everything is going down this direction. I feel like we're eventually going to get to this baseline of, okay, so you got a bunch of, call it infighting, whatever you want. There's debates. Debates are happening on the right. There's a fight for the future of the right wing and the direction of the Republican Party, and then who needs to be in and who needs to be out and where it needs to go and all of this stuff and all the drama. I feel like we're going to reach this baseline point because I notice it comes up in some of the debates that I'm having. And I feel like we're going to reach this baseline point, and it's like, okay, hold on a second. We need to establish some qualifiers before we go any further into this conversation. We need to establish some baselines before we go any further into this debate. Something like, do you believe the official narrative of September 11th? Do you believe that 2 planes took down 3 buildings? Do you believe that a plane hit the Pentagon? And if the answer to that is yes, you believe that, then it's almost like, what is the point in talking to you now? What is the point of having a debate with you? Now, that's not actually how I feel. I want to be clear about this, because this was said to me in a debate that I was having yesterday. And somebody said, and I'm actually glad that this was said to me because it was a brain reset It was a calibration reset that I actually needed. And maybe we all need to hear this. And so I'm having this debate, and somebody says, Owen, there's no reaching these people. There's no reaching the normies or the brainwashed. There's no reaching somebody that still believes the official story of September 11th. There's no point. You can't reach them. They're gone. And I said, now hold on a second. Hold on a second. It's actually the exact opposite that's true. Those are the people that need us the most. That's actually why I left the sports media and went into politics. Because I see people are brainwashed on the left and on the right. Now, we've got all of this haze, and we've got all of this confusion now because we thought we were getting one thing with the administration, and we're not. But I think more importantly, we could deal with that. We're so used to corrupt politics at this point, it's like, whatever. It's par for the course. What I think the big issue on the right, it's not even about politics or policy. Yes, it is, and we talk about that. But I think internally it's about, we thought, a lot of us here on the right now in this Trump base, or what was Trump's base, it's like we thought we kind of reached an understanding. We thought we reached the same level of understanding, the same launch point of processing information. We thought we were on the same page, and it turns out, oh, no. You guys still believe the left versus right paradigm. Oh, you guys still believe the official government narrative. And so that's why I just go back to just a singular moment, and I just say, okay, let's see. Where do you stand on September 11th? Oh, you believe the official narrative? I don't know what I can do with you. I don't know what I can do with you. But I'm not giving up. I didn't do this to get Trump elected. I didn't do this for a political party. I didn't do this for political reasons. I did this because I saw a lying media. I did this because I, too, was once a brainwashed American that would have looked at you like you're an insane, crazy person if you didn't believe the September 11th narrative. I was that person. I'm not anymore. I'm free. So, no, we don't give up. We don't give up on the people on the right that have fallen right back into the brainwashing. We don't give up on the people on the right, on the conservative side, the Republican side, on mostly our side. We don't give up on them just because they have failed to leap that barricade, just because they have failed to climb that barrier with us. No, we're still here with our hands stretched out. We're still here with the information. We're still here fighting the good fight. We don't give up. So I was glad somebody said that to me because it really recalibrated my mind. And I'm glad it happened before the new year, which is going to be here so fast. It'll be here so fast. No, this is a challenge, folks, to awaken hearts and minds. It's not about a political party. It's not about a political movement. Now, we'd like to see a peaceful political solution to this stuff. That's the goal. That's why we supported Trump. But this isn't about politics. This is about a great awakening in the United States of America, that our system is wholly corrupted, that we've been sold out so many times, we can't even find the receipts anymore. We don't even know where to start looking. It is. That we've been lied to so much about history, so much about current events, to put us into these struggle sessions of corruption and conspiracy. No, we don't give up the fight. We don't give up the fight. We just recalibrate, reorganize, reshape, and get back at it. That's what we do. But I do feel like it's starting to get to that point. It's like, hey, how many COVID vaccines did you take? Well, I took 5 COVID vaccines. Well, I guess I'm not taking any health advice, huh? Not so sure health advice from you is the best decision I could make. And that's a nice face mask you have on. Yeah. It's kind of like the same, it's like the same thing. It's like, oh, you believe the official narrative of September 11th? Okay, well, that's where you're at. So it's going to be hard for you to see the world as I see it if that's where you're at. If that's the viewpoint that you have, it's going to be tough. But I feel like it's like we're starting to kind of get there, and it's like, we're going to have to go back there, guys. We're going to have to go back. I'm sorry to say, we're going to have to go back. These people still need convincing. They haven't seen enough, apparently. They haven't seen enough lies from the media in the last 10 years. They haven't seen enough false flags and false hate crimes and everything else that we've seen with it, and all the organized terror, all the foreign propaganda. It's like, all right, you haven't seen enough, have you? So let me just kind of, do you believe the 9/11 narrative? Oh, you do. Okay. All right. Okay, now I see where we're at. All right. He's like, you can admit all this is a lie. Like, you're ready to admit the stuff that you've seen in the last 8 years is a lie. You're even ready to admit that they made a bioweapon in a lab and released it. That's pretty heavy stuff. You're willing to accept that they stole an election. It's pretty heavy stuff. But you're not ready to go there on September 11th. You're not. All right. All right. That's where we're at. So let's just get that understanding. Let's get that understanding. So now we get it. And I feel like that's going to be the baseline now. It's like, all right, well, golly gee, do I need to explain how no other buildings have come down from a structure fire, even ones that have been hit by planes before? What about Building 7? It's like, oh, here we go. Well, we don't have the time for that today. We don't have the time for that today. But I'll tell you this. You may want to find the time, folks. You may want to find the time to call our friends at Allegiance Gold and protectwithowen.com. Now, it's all over the news today. If you follow the news, you've seen this, I'm sure. Precious metals are just through the roof. They are going through the roof. Silver is having massive gains. Gold is having massive gains. If you have the fear of missing out, or you're starting to get it, there's a solution. Protectwithowen.com. And our friends at Allegiance Gold, they want to ask you, are you the type who waits to be rescued, or the one who protects your family before the storm hits? You're already seeing the cracks. The dollar buys less every month. Banks are showing stress. And the market is being propped up with printed money. It's not if it breaks. It's how prepared you'll be when it does. So here you go, folks. You're seeing the prices. Gold, silver, governments are piling into it. The billionaires are piling into it. There's a rush, you might say. There's a rush. So if you're thinking about this, strategic maneuver to get your finances into something a little more solid, you need to go to protectwithowen.com. And that's why I've partnered with Allegiance Gold. They've been around for nearly a decade, trusted by over 7,000 clients nationwide, relationship-driven, A+ with the Better Business Bureau, 4.9 stars from real clients, and they focus on educating you first. You're going to understand the process. You're going to understand why you are making the right decision. And right now, they're offering $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments. But the longer you wait, that $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments gets a little lighter, if you know what I mean. So whether it's through your 401k, IRA, or savings, they make it simple to move into something real before the next reset. Call them. If you want to have a conversation, give them a call, 844-790-9191. That's 844-790-9191. Or go to protectwithowen.com. Protect your wealth and your freedom, because no one else will. So let's go into the news. Here we go. And I wonder if there's anything new breaking. It's crazy how this is not getting that much news coverage. It's really not. Outside of the internet, I'm monitoring the cable networks. I've got them right here. You know the break camera. We show you the network news we got on here. We're monitoring it. They're barely even touching this one. U.S. seizes oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. U.S. forces have seized a sanctioned oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. People familiar with the matter told Bloomberg News. And then they get into the price of oil. Okay. President Trump has escalated pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in recent weeks. Trump said Maduro's days are numbered. That was earlier this week. He's also said he wouldn't rule out a ground invasion. Actually, he kind of said he was going to do a ground invasion, is what he really said. Now, maybe this is relevant. The White House has undertaken a large military buildup in the Caribbean and launched controversial strikes against boats that it claims were trafficking drugs to the U.S. Had some problems with that. Venezuela is a member of OPEC. Most of South America's oil exports go to China. So perhaps this is a satellite issue of Trump's trade war with China. Which is, I don't know about the strategic genius of this one, because you're pushing China into the arms of Russia, who are now doing more than 90% of their deals in their own currencies. They're not even using the U.S. dollar. And that's what BRICS is poised and pushing to do right now. So I have a feeling these things are all connected. And now I guess this was good. I guess this was confirmed by Trump at his meeting just moments ago. Trump says U.S. seizes massive Venezuelan oil tanker as showdown with Maduro erupts into new phase. The move is likely to further strain relations with Maduro's government. Trump said this: we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large, largest one ever seized. Oh my gosh. It's just becoming comical. We did a seizure. It's actually the first seizure ever. Never a seizure like it. Not the bad kind of seizure, actually a good kind. Not the kind of seizure you get from the vaccines that I love so much. Not that kind of seizure. We've done the biggest, greatest seizure. There's never been a seizure like it. They're thinking about maybe making a name for it. It's so big. It's so significant. Biggest seizure ever. Very large seizure. Large tanker, actually. In fact, we've seized the largest tanker ever. It's the biggest tanker ever we've ever seen. We've never seen a tanker so big. And our seizure of it is even bigger. It's the biggest, baddest seizure ever of the largest tanker you've ever seen, okay? That's what we do. Biggest, baddest. And we seized it. We seized it good. We seized it the best. Nobody seized it. Nobody seized it like we did. We went down there. We were seizing it good. Boy, we were seizing it so good. And even the people on the boat, we heard them. We picked it up. We picked it up with our microphones. They said, wow, this seizure is great. We said, wow, we're being seized. Can you believe it? We're being seized. They were so impressed. They were so impressed with how great our seizure was. It was the best seizure. Even the boat started talking. Nobody could believe it. We'd never seen a boat talk until now. The boat's talking. And we're seizing the boat, and all of a sudden it opens up a mouth and says, wow, you guys are seizing me. It's unbelievable. But they said they supported it. They said it's the best seizure they've ever seen, and they support it. They said, we love Trump. We don't know what was happening, and we were seizing the boat, the best seizure ever, and all of a sudden people started chanting how much they love Trump. So we'll call it the Trump seizure is what we're going to say. It's the Trump seizure. It should go down as the greatest seizure of all time. And even the people on the boat were cheering it on, and they were cheering for Trump. They were cheering for Trump, folks. So it's ours now, and it's the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life. All right? Thank you. Thank you. Just couldn't help himself. The largest seizure. He says, and other things are happening. Other things are happening. So you'll be seeing that later. Yeah. You'll be seeing that one later. Whatever that means. And you'll be talking about that later with some other people. It sounds like they're going to make an announcement, is what it sounds like he's saying there, that they're prepared to make an announcement. The seizure was led by the Coast Guard and supported by the Navy. A U.S. official told the Associated Press. The Coast Guard and the U.S. Southern Command directed Fox News Digital back to the White House, which could not be reached for comment. The Trump administration is considering launching land strikes on Venezuelan territory in an effort to further ramp up pressure on Maduro, who the U.S. views as an illegitimate leader of Venezuela and the leader of the Cartel de los Soles drug trafficking cartel. Well, the CIA would know a lot about that. So maybe they know. This is a major escalation, folks. This is a major, major escalation. What is the final agenda? And this is why it's kind of, it's tough to cover these things. Because you tend to get distracted by the actual event. You tend to get distracted by ground zero here. So it's like, yeah, okay. Do you want the drugs coming into the country or, can we kill drug traffickers? Well, you try to apply this logic. Think about it like this. If there was a truck of drugs rolling down the streets here, let's say we're in Austin. So a truck of drugs is rolling down the street. The APD decides they're just going to shoot it up. They're just going to fire. They're just going to fire at will into this car, into this truck until it stops and they seize the drugs and kill the people with them. Obviously, that's not how we handle that. But I guess we handle it differently on international waters. Okay. It's all a distraction. What is the real end goal here? What is Trump's angle? Is it regime change? Is it a pressure point on energy into China? Is it just the deep state? Is it just the swamp? Is it just the military-industrial complex? Is it trying to fortify partners and allies in South America before a next big launch? Is it all of the above? It's not about a drug boat. It's not about a drug boat. The drug boat is just the ground zero. The drug boat is just the distraction. It's not that it's not happening or it's not relevant, but it's just like, that's just the little thing over here. That's the shiny object. But what's really going on? Now, you may recall, they gave the Peace Prize to the opposition, who looks like a CIA cutout. Actually, looks like a damn demon. Looks like the Joker with the mask off. Maria Machado. Now, she's in the news today. She was supposed to collect her Peace Prize, the pros and cons of Maria Corina leaving Venezuela. So this is her, and she's in hiding, by the way. She's been in hiding for some months. It all seems very unbelievable to me, but this is the official story. She's in hiding. She's in hiding in Venezuela. She's hiding from the Maduro regime. But apparently she's going to leave, and she's going to go to Norway, and she's going to receive her Nobel Peace Prize. And apparently this is all going on. So she's in hiding, but she needs to leave. She's going to go receive the Nobel Peace Prize. It's kind of a risky thing, you think. How are you going to get her out of there? Who's organizing this? And if there's comms taking place, you're telling me that Maduro's regime isn't tracking them? Well, okay. So this is the drama building up before she's supposed to head to Norway. So apparently, okay, she comes out of hiding and she's able to travel to Norway. And then she doesn't show up. Venezuela opposition leader breaks cover to travel, but misses the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. Maria Corina Machado was en route to Oslo after award was accepted by her daughter, So her daughter was there to accept the award. Nobody's really sure what's going on with her right now. So that's what I'm saying. I was trying to look into this, and it was very strange. It's a lot of smoke here, folks. A lot of smoke. Unclear what's really going on. Venezuelan opposition leader Machado has slipped out of hiding for the first time in more than a year. Well, she's done TV interviews. So again, it's like, how much hiding are we really doing here? A Peace Prize winner in hiding, able to get out of the country, supposed to go to the Peace Prize ceremony, doesn't show up. What's going on here? Machado, who had been living in a secret location inside Venezuela for 16 months to dodge the regime's security forces, said in a voice recording posted on the Nobel Peace Prize website that she was preparing to board a flight to the Norwegian capital, where she will be reunited with her children after 2 years apart. She says, I'm on my way to Oslo right now. As soon as I arrive, I will be able to embrace all my family and my children that I've not seen for 2 years. Well, how was she able to get out? How was she able to get out? I'm finding it hard to believe that she could be in hiding from the Maduro regime inside Venezuela. I find that extremely hard to believe. And then that she was able to fly out? Who is she cooperating with? If this is true, she's cooperating with foreign intelligence, for Venezuela at least. So, okay, CIA is the obvious one. Who is keeping her in hiding? Who's protecting her? Who's flying her out in safety? And what now? Is she going to disappear into Norway? Is this them giving up the fight? Something ain't going right here, guys. Something ain't going right. Venezuelan Nobel Peace Prize winner misses ceremony, but vows to continue the fight, to continue the struggle. Daughter delivers her speech, accepts the award, saying her mother is still expected in Oslo after a journey of extreme danger. Folks, what is going on here? Something ain't adding up. And if it don't add up, you know it's corrupt. So we're getting ready to overthrow Maduro. And you've got the military out there. You're bombing these boats. Now you've seized an oil tanker. And the leader of the opposition leaves the country for the first time in 16 months? What is going on? What is going on with that? And then doesn't even show her face at the Peace Prize ceremony. Huh. There's something going on there, folks. There's something weird going on with that deal. Meanwhile, U.S. threatens new ICC sanctions unless court pledges not to prosecute Trump. If the court does not act on U.S. demands, including dropping investigations of Netanyahu and Israeli leaders over the war in Gaza, and formally ending a probe of U.S. troops over their actions in Afghanistan, Washington may penalize ICC officials and sanction the court itself. What is this? Why are we even addressing this court? What does this mean, sanction? How are you going to sanction the International Criminal Court? Which is mostly just ceremonious, by the way. Maybe it serves a purpose, but what do you mean, sanction it? And of course. Now, why is President Trump taking a stand against the International Criminal Court? Well, because of Netanyahu, of course. Because it's in Netanyahu's best interests. Why would the International Criminal Court be preparing to prosecute Donald Trump? I'm not sure what the more relevant question here is. Why you're threatening sanctions against the ICC, what that even means, why President Trump continues to fight Benjamin Netanyahu's battles, or why the ICC would be prosecuting Trump potentially in the future. These seem like relative questions. Is the administration concerned about the boats they've been bombing? Is that what they're concerned about? Maybe these drug boat strikes were not as above board as they're selling you? And they're concerned the ICC is about to find out. Or maybe they're concerned the ICC might take an issue with what they're going to do in Venezuela in the very near future. Or is it just a smokescreen to make sure that the American people don't see that this is President Trump just working for Netanyahu again? This is just Trump doing Netanyahu's bidding again. And it has nothing to do with him. But it's so bad now that they have to throw a smoke grenade out there to make you think it's something else. But I get the feeling all of these things are connected. Well, stop me if you've heard this before. I mean, I've never heard this. This is shocking development. Israel has violated its peace deal with Jordan. I know, guys. I know. It's like sometimes there's a blue moon. Sometimes something happens once and forever. Israel is violating a peace agreement. Israel will withhold 50 million cubic meters of water from Jordan. This is a breaking news report here. Total violation of their peace deal. They don't care. Israel has notified Jordan that it does not intend to provide the annual water quota outlined in their long-standing peace agreement, adding fresh strain to a relationship already tested by political and regional tensions. Yeah, like Israel bombing them and everybody else. And now they're cutting off the water, breaking an agreement that's been signed and sealed and delivered since 1994. Israel's making its move, folks. Israel is making its big move. And I don't know what the final result or even the final goal is at this point, but it's clear they're making a move. So they don't care about violating peace deals anymore because the only country that could even punish them at this point is the United States of America. And the only reason why the rest of the world isn't punishing Israel is because of the United States of America. So Israel's making its big moves. They're making its big moves. They're violating the peace agreement in Gaza. They're violating the peace agreement in Jordan. They're bombing 7 countries currently. They're taking land everywhere. They're making a big move. And Trump is running cover for them. And so is the conservative media, by the way. So is the conservative media running cover for them. And there was more aid in this package, this NDAA that they're going to vote on this week. They got to go through some amendment processes here. And Thomas Massie released his proposed amendments. This is so important. This week, we vote on the National Defense Authorization Act. I offered these amendments to restore freedom, promote peace, cut billions of dollars in foreign aid, and put America first. Speaker Johnson and the Rules Committee chose to prevent any amendments from coming to a vote. Now, let me just read these for you. So this is Thomas Massie. Proposed amendments to the NDAA. Let's go ahead and see what Speaker Johnson rejected and see how you feel about it. 1, prohibits the use of funds to query foreign intelligence information collected under Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act using a United States person identifier, prohibits the National Security Agency and the Central Intelligence Agency from using funds to mandate or request that private entities modify products or services to enable electronic surveillance, except as authorized under the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act. So, in other words, this is Thomas Massie trying to stop further funding for the U.S. government to spy on you with Section 702 that Congress just re-upped a couple of years ago to spy on you. So that's Massie trying to find a way to cut that out or limit it. Tell me, have you heard this one before? The Smith-Mundt Act? Massie includes that. Repeal the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2013 by restoring statutory prohibitions on domestic dissemination of State Department and United States Agency for Global Media, formerly the Broadcasting Board of Governors, informational materials and restricting the use of funds for domestic propaganda. That's right. The U.S. government, via the Smith-Mundt Act, can propagandize the U.S. people. Massie trying to stop it. Prohibits the use of clandestine or non-official social media accounts and other such platforms for these agencies' information activities. confines dissemination to official platforms, and establishes strict archival transparency and labeling requirements for delayed public access to such materials. So, okay, here's the first two amendments. Thomas Massie proposes stopping the U.S. government from spying on its own citizens and then stopping the U.S. government from propagandizing its own citizens. Who would be against that? Apparently Speaker Johnson. Now, here's shorter ones, easier to interpret these. Prohibits the transfer of MK-84 2,000-pound bombs to Israel. So we're going to stop funding Israel. Rather, we're going to stop sending bombs to Israel via this deal. But I'll tell you what, you jump down to number 38, it also wants to stop the assistance of Israel. But let's just continue down the list. Strikes extension of the Ukraine Security Assistance Act, so stop the money laundering and the weapons laundering in Ukraine. Strikes funding for overseas humanitarian disaster and civic aid program, costing the U.S. taxpayer over $100 million. So just more foreign grift, more foreign aid. Massey trying to strike it. Strikes foreign aid funding for the Taiwan Security Cooperation Initiative. By the way, there's some news out of Taiwan, China making threats about Taiwan. Been hearing about that for a long time, but figured I'd mention that since it's mentioned here. Strikes foreign aid funding to Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, Kurdish forces, and Syrian groups. So again, more foreign grift, more foreign aid, more foreign military aid. Why is this even in the NDAA? Strikes continuation of foreign aid funding to Iraqi security forces, as well as other paramilitary and security forces in Iraq. So more foreign aid, more foreign military aid. Massey trying to cut it. Strikes $500 million in missile defense foreign aid to Israel. So a nice little $500 check for Israel there. Yeah, squeeze it on in there. Yeah, gotta give Israel its cut. Strikes foreign aid funding for Israel, anti-tunneling cooperation, and U.S.-Israel cooperation to counter unmanned systems, costing the U.S. taxpayer $150 million. So there's another $150 million for Israel. And then prohibits assistance to Israel, prohibits assistance to Ukraine. So just stop. Just leave us alone. Just leave the American people alone. That's basically the amendments proposed by Massey. Speaker Johnson said, no thanks.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Well, guys, I have a confession. You won't be surprised. I've been telling you about our friends at Blackout Coffee for some time now. But I was up this morning. We had an Ask the Doctor show earlier this morning. So I brewed myself a pot of coffee. I did it. Had about 3 or 4 cups. And after I drank my coffee and I started cleaning my mug and cleaning the coffee pot and cleaning the filter and everything else, I said, man, the premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen is still my favorite. It's still the best. And you kind of feel bad. You feel bad. I'm looking at my box of premium coffee. I'm looking at my bag of the pitch black espresso. And I feel like I'm about to tell my girlfriend that it's time to go a different direction. It's time to go steady with the instant coffee here. I couldn't help it. I had the thought. I looked at them both and I said, I think the instant coffee is my favorite. I think it's my favorite. I needed it. If you need coffee instantly, it's the premium instant coffee. If you don't want to deal with the filters and the pots and everything else, it's the premium instant coffee. And it's premium. That's the key word here. There's other instant coffees out there. Watered down, no flavor. What am I even drinking? Not with the premium instant coffee from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. It is premium. It is instant. And it's not going to let you down. Hasn't let me down, and it has me questioning. It has me questioning my loyalty to the bag. It has me questioning my loyalty to the brew. I have to say, I'm struggling with it. But you know what? The good news is you can have it all. You can have it all at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. You can have it all. You can have the bag of your favorite fresh brewed coffee. You can have the premium instant coffee when you need coffee instantly. Or if you've got a little bit of a hankering for something more flavorful, you got the single serve pods. They got the single serve pods for you. So you can have it all. You can have it all with blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. And folks, if you're a coffee drinker, what are you waiting for? It's the official coffee of the Owen Report. You're going to love it. Give it a try. All kinds of different options, as we've explained. You'll find something you like. You'll find something you love. You'll find your go-to for coffee at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your new home for political play-by-play, the Owen Report.
All right, you get the rate cut. You get the rate cut. I think what you're going to see here, I'm monitoring the markets. I can't help it. If you're not, it's like, it's such a dealer's choice. If you're not involved in the stock market and you don't care, it's like you don't want to hear about it at all. But if you are even remotely interested or invested, then it's like crack cocaine. It's like Hunter Biden with a crack rock. Because what I see here is it looks like they had a dump, they had a pump, now they're in a dump, and then they get the rate cut, and there's going to be a pump, and then I think 2026 is questionable. So I think they're greasing this as much as they can right now for the Christmas rally, and then it's really unsure for 2026. And I say that, and I go back to my original conclusion, which is like the people that run the stock market and the whales that are moving and shaking things, they don't want this to end. It's too easy. It's too easy. It is just too easy for them to make huge amounts of money with the volatility in the market right now. So it's like they don't want it to come to an end. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much control that these whales have over it outside from a daily up and down movement. But here we go. The rate cut is final. Divided Fed approves third rate cut this year, sees slower pace ahead. A Federal Reserve split over where its priorities should lie, cut its key interest rate Wednesday, but signaled a tougher road ahead for further reductions. Fulfilling expectations of a hawkish cut, the central bank's Federal Open Market Committee lowered its key overnight borrowing rate by a 0.25 percentage point, putting it in a range between 3.5 and 3.75%. Now, there is the name. Forget the gentleman's name right now. I can pull it up here in a second. I'm just scrolling through this quickly, reading. Yes. Here it is, Kevin Hassett. Now, Kevin Hassett has been doing a series of interviews right now. He's anticipated to be the replacement. He's anticipated to be Trump's nominee for the Fed. He's the odds-on favorite, and he's been doing a series of TV interviews expressing what he would do, and he has said in multiple interviews he would continue to cut rates, and he believes that the current state of the economy gives him some room, some leeway to continue to cut rates. Now, is he saying that to win favor with Trump? Does he actually mean it? Well, I have no doubt that he intends on cutting rates. I don't know if he really means it about the economy and that being the right thing, or if that's just him going along with the Trump narrative of how great it is. But I do anticipate we'll see these things next year. But here's the other economic news. More than 75% of homes across the United States are unaffordable, study finds. Home ownership is increasingly out of reach for most U.S. families as the gap between people's earnings and home prices widens, according to a new analysis. More than 75% of homes across the country are unaffordable for the typical household, Bankrate said in a latest report. The personal finance firm defines a home as affordable if the annual housing costs do not exceed 30% of a household's income. So that gives you a good idea of where you're at. Now, you could argue that's not a fair measurement, but I guess the question would be, what is a fair measurement? What percentage of your income should be dedicated to paying your mortgage, making your house payments? What percentage? Well, you might think 30% is low, but that used to be probably the standard. The standard is probably closer to 50% now, which is a little alarming, leaves you a lot less room for wiggle room, let's say, for other budgetary concerns, and people are having to make cuts. In fact, I'll tell you this, and this was part of my business meeting earlier today. Folks, normally for businesses, depending on the industry, obviously, but for a lot of these businesses, specifically e-commerce businesses, some of them rely on Black Friday or a Cyber Monday or just Christmas sales. Some of them rely on those 2 months, November and December, to make their entire year. It's very common in e-commerce. You can kind of slide by, but you make it in November and December. You make it with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever, Christmas specials. Black Friday sales, folks, these numbers were way down. And it's a little deceiving. It's a little deceiving because you'll see in the news, they talk about there's more money spent than ever. More money spent. So they're saying, so the interpretation is, oh, Americans are spending more money. Americans have more money. But that's not the story. You go beyond the headline, you understand. The real story is these new, they call it like pay now options. There's all kinds of different companies that handle this stuff, depending on where you're shopping. But it's these new options where you can basically, it's like buying stuff on credit for Christmas gifts. Really, it's for anything now. You can order a pizza and pay for a pizza delivery in 4 installments of $13.99. So a lot of the e-commerce in what is supposed to be the biggest days of the year for these companies, a lot of the e-commerce, which was down, a lot of it was going to these extended payment plans. So they're not getting the immediate injection of cash that they're used to. People are taking out payment plans to pay for gifts and such. So that's a little bit of the misinterpretation of the overspending, but it's also because things are more expensive than they've ever been, generally speaking. So yeah, they say, well, it's an indicator that the economy is good. People spent more money over the Black Friday, Cyber Monday specials, but no, they actually didn't. They bought things on an extended payment plan. And they spent the money, numbers are up, but most of that is on these extended plans. So it's like it's an empty number. And it's also because prices are up. So it's actually not all good. But getting back to the study, what do you think is a fair number? I mean, 30% is like you're in a healthy economy. If 30% of your household income is going to paying your mortgage, then you're probably in a healthy economy. And you've got wiggle room and maybe even some room for savings. When you go over 50%, that's when it starts to get tight. That's when it starts to get tight. Savings becomes optional or tougher, and the budget is a little tighter, and there's a lot less wiggle room at the end of the month. Now, the question is, what's going to happen to the housing market? And Austin is actually kind of a good case study because it's been so volatile in the last decade plus. So it's kind of a good case study. Right now in Austin, folks, you can't even sell a house. You can't even sell a house. And for most people, if they're going to sell their house right now, they're going to take a hit. Now, if you've owned a house in Austin for over 10 years, then you're making out like a bandit. You're making more money on your house than you could have ever probably imagined. But that's a pretty small market share, all things considered. So I wonder what happens here. Is the housing market just going to crash? It's going to correct itself. The 50-year mortgage thing is not a solution. It's a Band-Aid. It's an option, but it's not a solution. You get the feeling a major market correction in the housing industry is going to happen. And what does that mean? What does that mean for all the private equity firms? What does that mean to homeowners? You feel it's inevitable. Now, here's the problem, to get back to political wonk. Let's get it back. Let's go back to political wonk and political slop. And Trump saying it's an A++ economy. The problem here is that you're now giving this to the Democrats. After the Biden administration and the disaster that was the economy, the Republicans are now going to come out here and give the Democrats the opportunity to win on the economy just because Trump is so obsessed with telling everybody how great it is. So now it's Bernie Sanders. So now Bernie Sanders gets to do a media tour talking about how the economy is bad, and now he's viewed as more honest than President Trump because of this. And it's not just Bernie. All the Democrats are going to do it. Now, I got to say, something's going on with Bernie. I don't know what it is. Something is going on with Bernie. Can I get conspiratorial? Would you guys humor me? Who are you hooking up with, Bernie? You got a new walk. You got a new flow. You got a new aura. That smile is not a man that is, well, we've all seen your wife. And I've never seen you look like that before, Bernie. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm missing the ball here. It doesn't look like your teeth have been whitened. I don't think you have new glasses. You're still wearing the same suit. Maybe you're combing your hair or dyeing your hair. It could be something in the hair, but to me, I see that and I say, there's a woman involved. There's a woman involved here. Bernie is cleaning himself up. Bernie? Who is it, Bernie? It's all right, Bernie. We'll understand. We get it. No judgments here, Bernie. Just tell me, what's got you in such a good mood? Why? Bernie, just tell me, why are you combing your hair all of a sudden? Why are you cutting your hair and trying to put on a fresh look? What's going on, Bernie? Are you running? Are you running for president? Do you got a new boo? Do you got a little DC hookup? Are you hitting the nightlife? We want to know, Bernie. Come on. Something's different, Bernie. You're not fooling me. You're not getting this one by me, Bernie. I know something's going on there. I don't know what, but I know something's going on. You're either planning a run with AOC And maybe just being around AOC is making you think about your appearance. I can see that. You're hanging around the young, hot AOC. She's bouncing around. Her husband is maybe not, taking care of business at home. And maybe you got you see a little light at the end of that tunnel, Bernie. Or, hey, I get it. We're men, Bernie. We're men. But that's the look of a man. That's the look of the man. I mean, hell, I think I think it just went down at your office, the way you're glowing here. I mean, this man is beaming. All right, conspiracy theory aside, Bernie responds to the A++++ economy Trump statement.
Gives himself an A++++. That's 5.
Who's in charge of this show? Oh, crap, that's me. I can't complain at a crew. I can only complain at myself. Here we go.
Gives himself an A++++. That's 5 pluses on the economy. What grade do you give him?
Well, Caitlin, if this is an A+++ economy, God help us if we ever get to a B or a C. And he talks about he's lowering prices. Well, right now, all over this country, people are getting insurance notices that their premiums for the ACA are going to double, in some cases triple or quadruple. Trump can lie all that he wants, but when people walk into a grocery store, they see the outrageous prices they're now paying. When housing costs all over this country are going up, when kids can't afford to go to college, when 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, no, we do have an affordability crisis. I think the problem with Trump is he hangs out with his billionaire friends all of the time. And I got to admit, for his billionaire friends, he is, in fact, an A+ president. They have never done as well as they are right now. They are getting richer and richer while tens of millions of Americans struggle to put food on the table.
Folks, everything he said there is true. And now, Bernie, what's going on, man? All right. Good clip. You win this argument with Trump. It's true. I got to know, folks. There's something. What is it? I don't think Bernie is on the CHOQ Ultra Male Vitality stack. I don't think Bernie is on the same CHOQ Ultra Vitality stack that I'm on. I'm maybe he is. Maybe Bernie is listening to the show and he went to CHOQ.com and he's trying the Male Vitality Ultra stack right now that I'm on. And as you can see, the results are in, folks. So I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on with Bernie. I'll have to call my friends and see if any orders have come in from a Sanders B. I think he's getting action. Bernie Sanders is getting action. That is a man fresh off of action, folks. That's not just a man with a new crush. That's not just a man with a new boo. That's not just a man who maybe he's got a little extra going right now in the loins because AOC is bouncing around him. No, that looks like a man fresh off a heated session on a couch in his office. I want to know, Bernie. I know I'm on to you, Bernie. I'm on to you, Bernie. We have ways of finding out, Bernie. I got eyes and ears everywhere, Bernie. I'm going to find out who's coming in and out of your office, Bernie. And if I hear about AOC coming out of your office a little flush, a little disheveled, I'll know. I'll know exactly what's going on. Maybe I won't out you, but just know that I will know. Did Bernie hire a new staffer? What is going on with this guy? I'm telling you, man. That Bernie, that is a look, guys. You know it. You know it. You know the look. Now, this happened last night. After Trump talks about how great the economy is at his rally in Pennsylvania, where the Republicans lose special elections, we're going to have him on the campaign trail, says Susie Wiles. Well, the problem is now they're not going to be letting people speak on the campaign trail because you give the mic to the audience and you realize real fast that, you know what, the American people don't really jive with what the president is saying. So this woman stepped up. She gets into the state of the economy, says this.
My name is Donna, and I can't believe I'm up here on this stage. I'm a single mom. I'm a single mom who has lived in Pennsylvania for the past 20 years, and I've been a waitress all my life. Started when I was 15 years old. I've always enjoyed it and used to waitressing, made good money. But lately, my money doesn't mean to stretch that far. Pretty much everything I make goes towards paying the bills. My name is Donna, and
So this is what we've been trying to express to President Trump. This is what he continues to ignore or have a blind spot on. And then he gives Bernie Sanders the opportunity to go on CNN, fresh off of a romp, and tell the truth about the economy and win on the economic issue because it resonates with the people. So I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to stop people from speaking at these events now because they might get up there and say the truth about the state of the economy? Or maybe this is an opportunity for Trump to finally hear it? Because it seems like that's really the difference. Trump had that touch. In the first administration, Trump had that touch, at least before COVID, where he had enough access to the average American, to the common man, that this stuff would get into his brain, his thought process, his processing. He's totally isolated now. Totally isolated now. So he's not hearing it. So maybe him hearing that last night would be a good thing. It's like, yeah, Mr. President, we're trying to talk to you. We don't want the Democrats to get the win on the economic messaging heading into the midterms. So we're going to have to be a little more honest. We're going to have to be. We're going to have to be a little more honest. All right, now I'm anticipating some drama, more drama, if you can believe it, with the Epstein story. New York judge orders release of Jeffrey Epstein grand jury records from 2019 case. Now, most of this is going to be inconsequential, but I'll explain where I think this is all going. The move comes just a day after a separate judge ordered the release of grand jury records related to Maxwell. And, of course, then you had the vote in Congress to release all of those records as well. So all of this stuff is coming out. All of this stuff is coming out. A federal judge in New York on Wednesday granted the Justice Department's request to unseal grand jury records in the Jeffrey Epstein 2019 sex trafficking case, the day after the judge ordered the release of the grand jury records related to the Maxwell case. In his order, U.S. District Judge Richard Berman cited the law that Congress passed last month that required the DOJ to release all of its records related to Epstein, calling the act's language clear. The court hereby grants the government's motion in accordance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act and with the unequivocal right of Epstein victims to have their identity and privacy protected, he wrote in the 4-page ruling. He explained that he agreed with attorneys for Epstein survivors who wrote the court to say that disclosure cannot come at the expense of the privacy, safety, and protection of sexual abuse and sex trafficking victims. Berman also referenced language from the law that laid out the type of personal material that should be withheld, including survivors' personal and medical files. It's unclear when the materials will be released. Now, let me tell you why it's unclear. Technically, the files are supposed to be released by December 19th. Now, I don't know how much of this is, let's say, rumor and hearsay versus what's actually happening behind the scenes, but here's the noise. So it's supposed to be December 19th is when they're supposed to release all of this stuff, and that's the date. So that's why these judges are all signing these orders, because there is a date, and the date is December 19th. But here's the problem that they have. And this gets into some of the hearsay and some of the fact. Now, the rumors, and I can take it either way. Wouldn't surprise me if it's real, wouldn't surprise me if it's fake, and I'm not even sure how much I care at this point. But the rumor is that there is a team inside of the DOJ and or the FBI that is combing through every single Epstein document and scrubbing Donald Trump's name from it. Now, again, I wouldn't surprise me either way. Wouldn't surprise me if that's real. Wouldn't surprise me if it's fake. And quite frankly, I don't care, actually. And I'll tell you why. Because there is no doubt that Donald Trump was friends with Epstein. I would also say there's very little doubt that Donald Trump was doing anything illegal with Jeffrey Epstein. So I really don't care. I didn't elect President Trump to be my moral compass. I didn't elect President Trump because I felt like we needed a moral, spiritual guide in the White House. It's not why I elected Donald Trump. So I really don't care. We all know he was good friends with Epstein. There's no denying that. But also, there's very little doubt that he did anything illegal in relation to Epstein. So I'm over it. So whether that's true or not, I'm indifferent. Now, the other debate, that this is why I think it's going to be delayed. There's all of these victims in there, and there's private information, personal information, and there's so much. They're going to eventually just come out and say, we can't do it. They're going to say, this is what I think is going to happen. They're going to come out and say, we can't do it. Or, because they're going to have to decide what they want to do. They can either release these files so heavily redacted that people are just going to be pissed and the drama will continue. Or they're going to say, we can't release them yet. We haven't had enough time. We still have to go through it and scrub all this private information and make sure the identities of some of the victims are protected. Which you could say is, it's all legitimate. That's all fair. But it's not going to change the fact that people are just not going to trust it. They're not going to like it. They're not going to want to hear it. And there's something else going on here. There's something else going on here that I think is strange. I have a feeling that there are bad actors, and this is tough. This is because nobody wants to be on the wrong side of a rape victim, right? Nobody wants to sit here and doubt a woman that's gone through a sex slavery or rape or all of the dastardly stuff that we know is going on, especially if they were minors. But I just get the feeling that there's some bad actors that have infiltrated the group of victims. I get a feeling there's some bad actors, and there's so much smoke and there's so much fog and there's so much haze that it's easy to just kind of get in there and rattle some cages, rattle some things, and kind of distract from what's going on and delay. And I just get the feeling that's going on. I get the feeling that there's some bad actors that have infiltrated these victim groups. And maybe it's not even people claiming to be victims. Maybe it's legal people. It's lawyers. Because it does seem that there's like this rift inside the victim groups. Because on one instance, you'll have them go to D.C. and they'll stand on the steps of the Capitol and they'll say, these are our names, these are our faces. But then behind the scenes, they say, well, there's this other victim group that doesn't want any information out there, and we have to protect their privacy. So when you have a large group of victims like that, it's like herding cats. So you're never going to get everybody on the same page. But I have a feeling they're going to delay it. It's either delay or redact. And I think they're going to delay it. And the drama and the suspense, and then, of course, the infighting and the fallout is all going to continue. And maybe this ends up being the inside the Christmas stocking, let's say. The gift under the Christmas tree. Seems that every Christmas there is a huge debate. I guess while everyone is off work or whatever, or they're done talking to their family, or maybe they've had a couple adult beverages, whatever the case is, and they like to get online and they like to fight. And there's always some issue. There's always some topic that's right there, ripe for everybody to dive in and engage. Last year, it was the H-1B visas. Maybe this year it'll be the Epstein thing. And it's ripe. It's ripe. And it's a case of major division. Major division. And so if they delay or redact on December 19th, we all know what follows. We all know what follows, and I don't think there's any other option. So inevitably, the frustration from Trump then, as well as the American people, will only grow over the Christmas break. All right. This. I don't know how else to present this to you, folks. It is what it is. Governor Newsom press office, the official press account of Governor Gavin Newsom, posted this on X last night.
We love miners. I love miners. We love miners. I love miners. We love miners. I love miners.
All right, so you hear it. That was from Trump's rally last night, and then it's side by side with a video of him hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. So obviously you understand what the insinuation here is. So, I see that, and I'm like, okay, Trump has put himself in this position. Trump has put himself in this position and opened himself up to these attacks on Epstein. That's undeniable. That's what's going on. And I'm like, okay, why can't Trump drop the hammer on these people? What is holding him back? It's like, you're sick of it. You're frustrated. Now they're tying it to you. Now they're making these meme videos, these parody videos. Of course, it's, SNL, everything else, whatever. We're used to it. But no, now it's about the most heinous acts, the most heinous crimes, the most despicable things you can do. Now it's tying you into that, Mr. President. And I'm just like, when does he just decide he's going to drop the hammer on these people? What is holding him back? I mean, that's essentially Gavin Newsom's office calling Donald Trump a pedophile. I mean, let's just say what it is. That is what they're doing. That is Gavin Newsom's official press office insinuating that Donald Trump is a pedophile. That's exactly what it is. How could you stand that if you're President Trump right now? How could you stand that? It's like, I saw that and I'm like, maybe this is what's needed. Maybe this is what's going to tick Trump off enough to just drop the hammer on these pedophiles, to drop the hammer on this cabal of criminals that launder money and rape children. And then, hopefully, because this is what it's really about, once we expose these pedophiles and bring them to justice, we can shut down the blackmail networks that have been corrupting our country and our planet for our entire lives. That's what I voted for. That's what I thought we were getting. So now I'm just sitting here, I'm like, good. Push Trump even further. I want to see it. If Gavin Newsom's office, not so subtly, accusing Donald Trump of being a pedophile isn't enough to push him over the edge to drop the hammer on these people, I don't know what is. But it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And it is a big deal. By the way, it is a big deal. And I don't like how we have these conversations. I don't like when we're having these conversations in the political world that we don't address the real issues. It's like the same thing with foreign policy. It's like, I don't want to hear about Epstein. People are sick of hearing about Epstein. Okay. Again, you're just missing the target. You're not even on the map. Yeah, it's about Epstein. But no, this is about the blackmail network. This is about exposing the blackmail network, the financial blackmail, the sexual blackmail. It's about exposing it and bringing it down because it's corrupting our country. It's corrupting our planet. Oh, people are sick of hearing about Epstein. Well, you know what? I'm sick of having politicians and bankers and celebrities and stars and influencers. I'm sick of having them blackmailed and corrupting my planet. How about that? You're sick of hearing about Epstein. I'm sick of blackmailed pedophiles and financial criminals running our planet. How about that for being sick of it? How about that? Oh, you're so sick of Epstein. But you like the blackmail networks? I'm sick of hearing about Epstein. I'm sick of pedophiles running our planet. So anyway, Elon Musk, I got to say, I don't agree with all the things Katie Miller says, Stephen Miller's wife. Now, Stephen Miller, I probably agree with like 95% of the time. His wife seems to have, I don't know, she's kind of got her own thing going. But I got to give her credit. She kind of comes out of nowhere. I didn't know anything about her until she got married to Stephen Miller and then launched this podcast. But I'll give Katie Miller credit and Stephen Miller. Great job. I think you outkicked your coverage on that deal. But she does a good show. She does a good interview. And it's actually funny because it's such a lost art. A good interviewer is such a lost art in today's media. And that's mostly because a lot of the people that are on air today have such overly inflated egos that they just can't shut up. They just can't shut their mouth. So they just talk too much. They're just too obsessed with themselves, with their overinflated ego, that they just can't shut up. But also there's no classical training anymore. Most people in the media didn't even get classical training in how to conduct interviews or do a radio broadcast or anything like that. I think that's just kind of the new age that we're going into in the internet world. But Katie Miller does it. I'll give her credit for that. So the interview with Elon Musk was really fantastic. It was really fantastic. I've pulled a couple clips from this that I think are the most important. And let's start with Doge. Let's start with Elon Musk talking about Doge.
You gave up a lot to do Doge.
Yeah. Like if you stop money going to going for political corruption, they will lash out big time.
Mm-hmm.
So they really want the money to keep flowing. So if you stop it from flowing, there's like a very strong reaction to stopping the money flowing.
After you were in DC for a while, did you become disillusioned with how it operates?
Well, I wouldn't say I was super illusioned to begin with. I mean, I guess it's just like you really want the least amount done by government possible, the least amount. I guess maybe like the biggest thing is that, I guess the biggest single thing is that there are massive transfer payments going to illegal immigrants, like massive. Essentially, we're paying people to come here from somewhere else in vast numbers, including flying them in. So, like, it's not like you need a border wall if you're flying them in. Then fast tracking them to citizenship and making them beholden to government payments, and voting hard left. That's essentially, it's like voter importation. If you create a gigantic money magnet to, you say, if anyone comes here from anywhere else, we're going to pay you tons of money, give you lots of free stuff. Come to America and get paid to do so. Like, you're going to get a lot of people taking up on that offer.
Now, you may hear that and think, well, okay, we've been saying this for years. All right, well, how many people have we reached? Not everybody. Now Elon Musk is saying it. But here's why it's important that Elon Musk is saying it. He's actually seen it. He's actually literally gone into the system and seen it. He's confirming it as if it wasn't already confirmed enough. And then this is what drives the wedge. Why did it get shut down? And why are there no arrests? And I think if you follow Elon Musk, you kind of get an idea. You get an idea how people think, how they operate. And then you can understand their reaction to things, even predict their reaction to things. So Elon Musk gets in there with Doge. He gets into the systems. He sees all the waste, fraud, and abuse. He then gets attacked for exposing it. He sees all the political corruption and the corruption when it comes to buying votes and importing voters, and he gets behind the system and he sees it all. And he brings it to the attention of the White House as he sees his job at this point with Doge, and he brings it to the attention of the White House, and he's met with disgust. He's met with disinterest. And he's just sitting there, he's saying, wait a second, this is what I was brought in here to do. This is what we campaigned on. This is what I invested hundreds of millions of my own money to do. This is what I took a major hit in my businesses, in my professional world to do. And now here I am delivering the goods, and I'm met with disgust and disinterest. And so he lashed out and he got frustrated. And good. I'm glad he did. So now he just handles it in the podcast world. But it gets back to the issue. We've seen the corruption. We've seen the waste, the fraud, the abuse, the crimes, the money getting stolen, the political favors being bought, the votes being bought, the votes being imported, and we've seen it all. And there's no arrests, and there's virtually no reform. And that's your problem. And that's why Republicans keep losing these special elections. That's why. Not because of a streamer beef, not because of infighting on the right or personalities doing WWE hype promo cuts. It's because no results are coming out of this administration and the party. You say, it's not no results. We're getting this. We're getting that. Stop lying to yourselves. We are looking for significant results. We're looking for such significant results in reform that we literally change the course of this country and this planet. And you're not getting that. And that's the frustration. So Musk is just getting this information out to people who otherwise would probably never hear it. Sure, you hear it. You listen to this show. Sure, people involved in the political world hear it. They're following this news. People follow Elon Musk because they like spaceships. People follow Elon Musk because they like technology and inventions and Neuralink and just what is the richest man in the world doing. And now they're hearing it, and now they're understanding it. So no, I'm glad. And I'm glad Katie Miller asked the question and then shut up to hear the answer. Elon Musk asked about conspiracy theories.
What's a conspiracy theory you believe in?
I mean, which conspiracy theories haven't come true at this point? We've run out of conspiracy theories that, because they've all come true, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if any aliens. People always ask me if there are aliens. I have seen no evidence of aliens. No one on the SpaceX senior team has any evidence of aliens, because I've asked the team, like, guys, am I missing something? Has anyone on the team, seen any evidence of aliens?
Does that include UFOs?
That's just an unidentified flying object. So UFOs, like, it could be like some new weapons program or whatever. That's, some hypersonic missile or something like that. That would be technically a UFO, but it's just basically some weapons prototype. It's not like aliens. So, although Neil Armstrong, Neil A, spelled backwards, is alien. Coincidence?
You believe we actually went to the moon, though?
Yes, we went to the moon a few times, actually, and played golf on the moon.
Okay.
We didn't just go to the moon. We actually got a little bored and started playing golf on the moon.
But why didn't the flag move? There's like that conspiracy
That was the
theory
jump the shark moment.
about the flag?
No, the playing golf on the moon.
Oh, okay.
They literally did.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. Whacked a golf ball on the moon.
There's no gravity though, right? So
there is gravity, 1/6. If it wasn't gravity, you'd just float away.
Okay.
There's no atmosphere.
Okay, fair.
But there is 1/6 gravity.
What conspiracy theories haven't come true? Says Elon Musk. Then he hits you with the Neil A, spelled backwards, is alien. And he says, we've never seen aliens. Now, Musk also said once, what is a more scary, what is a more frightening proposal? The fact that we are the only intelligent life, or the fact that there is other intelligent life out there, or I guess the theory, the concept? What would be more frightening? We are the only intelligent life, or there is other intelligent life? All right, Elon Musk says no aliens. Elon Musk says, what conspiracy theories haven't come true? I don't know. Why don't you enlighten us more about what you know about the Epstein list? That would be interesting. That would be interesting. And I wonder, as he's making these accusations, he's made twice now the accusation of Nick being a Fed. I'm wondering where he gets that, Nick Fuentes. I'm wondering where he gets that, because it could be something as mundane as he sees a document because the FBI has reached out to Nick and he just associates that with being a Fed. I don't know. It's interesting he would say that. But I guess that's part of the internet drama of why the Republicans can't get any results. Then he says this about artificial intelligence.
Said in the future that no one's going to need to worry about money or work because AI is going to take care of the rest, AI and robotics. What do you mean that people won't have to work in the future?
Assuming the current trend of artificial intelligence and robotics continues, which seems likely, the AI and robots will be able to do anything that humans want them to do, essentially. So hopefully not more than that, but AI and robotics will be able to provide all the goods and services that anyone could possibly want. So,
but you wouldn't need to work? Like, what would you do with your free time?
People will be able to do whatever they want with their free time. Work will be optional. I just want to separate out from like what I wish would happen versus what I predict will happen, because people get confused about that. They think that what I predict will happen is what I want it to happen. Yeah. What I predict to happen is not the same as what I want to happen. If I could, I would certainly slow down AI and robotics, but I can't. It just seems to be, well, it's advancing at a very rapid pace, whether I like it or not.
Is AI what keeps you up at night?
It used to be. At this point, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's nothing particularly keeping me up at night right now, except that. But if you say why do I wake up in nightmares? Oh, AI, yeah. Actually, I've had a lot of AI nightmares. I had AI nightmares many days in a row. What am I supposed to do about it?
Yeah, you and me both, Elon. Now, somebody said this today. They're responding to all the, podcast drama, whatever, streamer wars. They're responding to it, and they're saying, well, it's a slow news day, or it's a slow news cycle when you have all of this political podcast drama as the main focus. And I'm just like, first of all, there are no slow news days anymore. It's like maybe once a week I don't have 3 hours of content. And that's like maybe. It's usually I have more content. I'm not going to be able to cover all my content today. There are no slow news days, but here's the real thing. They're literally building Skynet right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? And Elon Musk gets it. And I want to translate what Elon Musk is trying to communicate there in so many words as I interpret it. Slow news day? Dude, you're literally going into the Terminator movie. You're literally going into iRobot right now. They are building the science fiction AI robotics hellscape right now. Slow news day? Dude, the most important decisions for the future of humanity and civilization are happening right now, and you say it's a slow news day. And I get it. I understand it. Of course, it's, oh, this person attacking this person and this person making this claim and then this claim and then this gets debunked and then, oh my gosh. I don't care. I'm not interested. It means nothing. It's worthless. It's slop. It's hype. It's TV shows. It's reality TV. It's drama. It's promotions. A slow news day? Oh, yes, you're talking about the beef between X and Y, aren't you? Oh, are you picking a side? Oh, my gosh. Whose side are you on? Did you see what they said? Did you hear the latest claim? Excuse me. Hi. Yeah. The Trump administration is currently building the artificial intelligence surveillance state grid, and we're about to turn over the keys to civilization to this grid. What are you talking about again? What slow news day? So I've always kind of theorized this about Musk. And I think he kind of confirms what I was thinking right there in that clip. I understand why people don't trust Elon Musk. I'm not telling you to trust Elon Musk. But I am telling you to listen to what he says. And I always said in defense of Musk, when the people that attack him and they say, look at what he's building the AI, he's controlling X, now they're doing Neuralink, he's about to introduce self-driving cars and the robots are coming out. And I'm saying, yeah, but if you listen to him and what he says, you understand that he's like looking at himself as a counter to all of that. And he knows that if he isn't up there representing a counter to the Sam Altmans of the world, to the Facebooks of the world, to the Bill Gates of the world, he knows if he's not up there offering that counter, offering that alternative, that there is nobody else. And I think he has a better understanding that the people that are involved in this process, I mean, maybe not to such a direct degree, but he understands that the people in charge of this process want you dead. They literally want you dead. And he's not like that. This guy's out here, he's got like 15 kids, maybe more, probably have more, he'll probably have 40 kids. This guy happens to like humans. And so that's what he's saying. He's like, look, I don't like the pace of AI. I don't like the direction all of this is going, and it needs to be reviewed, and we need to slow down and have a serious conversation about civilization, but it doesn't matter. It's already there. It's already gone. The deals have already been made. The AI race is already on. I have no control over it. So if I'm not in there in the race, then the vision that I have, the way I want to see it implemented for civilization and humanity, it's different. This is my alternative option. If I'm not in there doing it, then it's not going to exist. There is no alternative option, so I have to do this. That's my translation of what he says there. And I believe him. I believe that is the case. But a slow news cycle? Can you imagine in like 20, 30 years? I mean, God forbid. Let's see what happens with all of this. Well, let's say 20, 30 years, you're stuck in some crossroads, some intersection between 1984 and iRobot and Ex Machina and Terminator. And we're sitting there like 20, 30 years down the road. It's like, how did we get here? What happened? And I'll be like, yeah, well, as it was all going on, people said it was a slow news cycle. And as this was all going on, people were having personal beefs. And that's what people were doing to draw ratings and draw reviews. And, somebody asked me, I said, hey, well, I get asked this all the time. It's like, well, what do you think about this person? Or what do you think about that person? Or what do you think about this drama or that drama? And I say, I avoid it intentionally. You don't hear my opinions on that stuff for a reason. I say, but Owen, just look, this is how they're getting millions of views. It's like, this is how they're getting viral videos. This is what you do to get the views. I'm like, I ain't about that life. If people want the truth, if people want political news coverage, then they can come here. If they want to do interpersonal drama and internet beefs and reality TV and clickbait stuff, then that there's plenty of that out there. Okay, there's plenty of that out there. I'm not interested. I don't want anything to do with it. And maybe we'll revisit this a little bit when we play a Tucker Carlson clip. But let me go on. This might be one of the more interesting things he said during the interview. Katie Miller asks him, Elon Musk, if he believes in God.
Who do you look up to the most?
The creator.
What's your current position on God?
God is the creator.
You don't believe in God, though, do you?
Well, I believe this universe came from something. People have different labels.
Who do you look up to the most?
So he's not a religious man, obviously, but he obviously understands there is a God, there is a creator. That is undeniable. You want to get into theology and dogma and doctrines and religion, different thing. God, the creator, is undeniable. You are living proof of God. The world around you, living proof of a creator, intelligent design. That was good. That was good for Musk to say that. You know what? You can make your own decisions about religion and spirituality. And right now it's kind of a nasty business, kind of a nasty game. Be really kind of confusing out there. But make no mistake about it. God is real. You are a divine creation. In fact, MIT just released the first video. They're claiming they have the first ever video of human creation in the womb, where an egg fertilizes a seed. Conception. They claim, MIT, the first ever video of conception. And it's like an explosion of waves, like these spirals, the Fibonacci sequence. I mean, folks, that is divine creation. Isn't that the heaviest of it all? Sit here, talk politics 3 hours a day. We're literally living in a divine creation of a creator, of a God. You're in it right now. It's pretty epic stuff. That's just like, how can you be bored? Slow news cycle. Dude, they're building the Terminator world. You're going to grow up in the Terminator world. That's happening right now. It's a slow news cycle. You are a divine creation of God in this divine world that we live in. You're bored. It's a slow news cycle. What are you doing? You're missing out, man. You're missing out. By the way, as we close out the hour, Elon Musk agrees it's time to leave NATO and the UN. Leave NATO and the UN, Elon Musk agrees. And by the way, this has now been officially proposed via legislation from Thomas Massie. How do you like that?
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
we got a major escalation. We have video now. This video has just emerged of the seizure of the oil tanker. And it's pretty extreme to say the least. It's pretty extreme to say the least here. Let me put this video on screen. Hold on. All right. Well, there it is. You know, I'm not really sure what else to say about this. I would summarize it like this. How do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? I would summarize it like this. We have now had Iran strikes and military action against Venezuela before a single deep state arrest. That's how I would summarize how I feel about this. I don't like it. I don't think I like it, but that doesn't really matter. You have military action against Iran and Venezuela before a single deep state arrest. Now, I don't know anything about oil tankers. So are they normally empty like this? I mean, I don't know. I don't see anybody. But I don't know. Maybe that's normal. Nobody on the deck. And what's with the brute force here? Was this a raid? Just a raid? What's the end goal? What's the agenda here? So, how do I feel about it? I don't know. I just know it's military action against Venezuela, Iran strikes before a single deep state arrest. That I know. So how do I feel about it? I don't know. Give me a different context. Give me a different time period, and maybe I can answer that. But to see this before a single deep state arrest, I don't like it. But here's what's going to happen. And maybe this is what it's really about. Maybe this is what it's really about. They need a morale boost, folks. They need a morale boost, and they need to give the cheerleaders a reason to go out in the end zone and wave the pom-poms and do the high leg kick and do the dance routines. They need a touchdown. This administration needs a touchdown badly. They need to give the cheerleaders a reason to go in the end zone and dance around and wave the pom-poms. Quite frankly, that's what this looks like to me. What better way to do it? Send in the badass troops. Have a nice video edit ready to go. Have a nice video cut ready to go, showing them getting off the helicopter, raiding the oil tanker, guns drawn, tough American military man. Yeah, USA, strength. It's a good way. And I'm sure you're already seeing it. I'm sure that the Trump cheerleaders are already in the end zone dancing around, shaking their derrieres, kicking the legs, waving the pom-poms, saying how great it all is. Nice little video edit from the administration. Yeah, USA, military, all right. It looks like that's really what's going on here. I don't know. I don't know what the goal here is. All I can do is go off of the facts. Iran strikes and military action against Venezuela before a single deep state arrest. And they take down this oil tanker now. And they give you a nice hype edit for a video to hype morale and give you some content. Man. Well, that's almost one where you take calls. I gotta say. That's almost one where you just open the phone lines and take calls and get a response. See what you guys are thinking out there. I do have other news to cover here as we get into the third hour. How much of this am I really committed to? The election results, bad. The Republicans lose in Miami. They lose in a Trump district. The Republicans lose a Georgia state election in a Trump district that Trump won by 15 points. No, I'm sorry. Trump won by 15 points in Miami. Trump won by 22 points in Georgia. Those seats have both flipped. So let's put out a military hype video of us raiding an oil tanker. Maybe that'll help with the elections. I mean, this is just swing and a miss, swing and a miss, swing and a miss. So Republicans keep losing elections, folks. They just keep losing elections. You know? And they either don't want to be honest about why, or it doesn't matter to them. But it's not a good sign heading into the midterms. And if you don't understand why these things are going to impact one another, and then the implications of what will happen to the administration, or more specifically, Donald Trump, after the Democrats win the House. And if they win the Senate, folks, well, I mean, it's not good. I got to say here, because if I go into this, I probably won't have time to take calls. And I already said I would. Maybe we can do it all. Maybe we can at least try to do it all. So let me go ahead here. It is the 3 month. It's 3 months now since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And there are some developments that we can cover. So I just want to play these clips and close it with what Tucker Carlson said recently, which is very close to what I'm saying and feeling at the same time. But let's start here. Now, I understand the frustration if you're on the inside and, maybe you're not doing the best PR, but regardless, it's getting frustrating dealing with the conspiracy theories or all the other stuff that's going on. But really, you kind of have no one to blame but yourself at this point if you're Turning Point USA. And I see the frustration from Andrew Colvett in this interview, which again, I just find all of it strange. But you know what? Not everybody's meant to be a public speaker. And a lot of people are being forced into these interviews where they know millions of people are going to see it, and sometimes they clam up because it's not what their it's not what their calling is. But here's the problem, and this is why I'm saying, look, if you're Turning Point USA and you're frustrated with everything, well, you have no one to blame but yourself. And this is all conspiracy aside. Throw all conspiracy theories aside. Let's assume everything is above board. For the sake of this, let's just assume everything is above board, which, I obviously don't. I don't trust the official narrative. But let's just assume it's all above board, and so you're frustrated. You don't like it, so you're doing these interviews. You're trying to course correct, but you're missing it. You're missing it. So here's what a frustrated Andrew Colvett says to CBN News yesterday.
I am open to a whole flurry of things. What I'm not open to is a theory that Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie. Mm-hmm. Who else?
What happened to innocent till proven guilty? Okay, so there you go. But fine, that's your opinion.
Was involved? Sure, I can talk about that. Was there other voices involved? But I'm not open to that because guess what? Mm-hmm. The evidence of that case is incredibly watertight. Mm-hmm. And
I've never heard anyone say watertight. It's airtight, but okay, maybe that's just a weird miscommunication. Again, you're being thrown into an audience of wolves here, so maybe you can slip up. You're not ready for it. But it's just like, how can you say what you just said? If the case that we've seen publicly, to convince us that Tyler Robinson is the shooter, if you say that case and that evidence is convincing, this is why people don't trust you. This is why people don't trust you guys. And you can sit here and say that Candace Owens is a maniac, and you can sit here and make all the name calling and all the accusations about Candace that you want. She has nothing to do with this outside of that she worked for Turning Point USA and was good friends with Charlie, which I don't know, maybe that is significant. But she's not in control of the communications. She's not at Turning Point USA. She's not in Charlie Kirk's studio every day. So you can't come out here and tell people that the case against Tyler Robinson is watertight or convincing, because it's not. It is simply not. In fact, it's quite frankly impossible. You're not doing yourself any favors here. But where are they sending these signals? And this is their other big miss. Hey, you want to land on that conclusion, that's fine. But the problem is you're not taking us with you. We don't believe that. And there's nothing we've seen that's going to change our minds. There's nothing Turning Point USA has presented that's going to change our minds. And then you just say, oh, it's convincing. You're just making it worse. When you tell people, hey, guilty when we say guilty, and case closed, we've seen all the evidence, this is why people don't trust you guys. This is a communications issue. This is a PR issue. I don't know. Maybe you can't be honest. Maybe you don't want to be honest. Maybe you actually believe that. But you're not doing yourselves any favors here, guys. And then the direction is wrong. I'll explain that.
I would like for us to focus on the rise of left-wing violence, the rise of mental health illness. And
now here's the other frustration. We keep hearing this. We need to focus on this. We need to be thinking about this in the midterms. These are people that are talking like they just lost an election. These are people that are talking like the Republicans don't have the Senate, the House, and the White House right now. I'm sorry. What are we talking about? Who are you talking to? Did we not just win the election? Do we have control of the House, the Senate, and the White House or not? You're talking to us like Republicans are not in control. You're talking to us like we just lost elections. What do you mean we need to be focusing on this and focusing on this and winning in the midterms? What are you talking about? We just won the elections. This is the stuff that's supposed to be happening. Why are you talking? All of this should be going to the FBI. All of this should be going to the DOJ. All of this should be going to the Trump administration. And it's like they're talking at you. It's like they're talking to you if you don't believe the official narrative. They're talking to you if you don't think Tyler Robinson was the shooter. They're talking to you if you're suspicious of Turning Point USA. Like, they're talking to you. And then the whole mantle, the whole presentation is from a side of losing. Dude, we just won the election. What do you mean we need to be doing this and that? We just won the election. Why are you doing this? Go to the White House. Go to the DOJ. Go to the FBI. That's who needs this message. Not another podcast from Charlie Kirk's studio. Not another TV station. Not another TV interview. Not another podcast interview. We just won the election. Now is not the time to lecture conservatives about what needs to be done. Take this to the FBI, the DOJ, and the Trump administration. We didn't lose the elections. We won. Stop acting like we lost the elections and stop blaming everybody else that is looking for results here.
In this country, the rise of young people in the progressive side, turning to Mangionism and assassination culture, and the idea that they can solve their political disputes by justifying violence. And we're seeing more and more of that instead of focusing.
Solve political disputes by justifying violence? Gee, that sounds like something that's happening in another part of the world that all these people seem to support. I digress.
Focusing on that, we're getting taken down rabbit trails. And listen, I understand a good faith question. I understand that we've been lied to. But when you look at the people that have been harmed by this, our team, our staff, the movement, people that weigh into this issue, then they get caught up in it. There's been a lot of carnage, and I don't want that for the movement. I hope we can get through this sooner than later.
So then it's time to take your message to the FBI. It's time to take your message to the DOJ. It's time to take your message to the Trump administration. What are you out here lecturing podcast audiences for? And yeah, I'm somebody that looks for logical consistency. And if you're going to continue to do these podcasts and you're going to talk about all the different desires and all the different issues and how you want the drama to end and you want to bring people back together and stop all the rabbit holes and everything else, it's like, all right, you say that, then why aren't you pleading with the FBI to present their case to the public? We're not asking for a courtroom case. We're not asking for the entire file. We're asking for the basic due diligence that they have failed to deliver on. The FBI could shut down every single conspiracy theory right now if they wanted to, and they could release the video of Tyler Robinson going onto the roof, getting into the sniper's position, and taking the shot. But instead, they release a short video that is edited of him just running off the roof and jumping off the roof after the shot. Why? Why don't we have the full video? Certainly the video exists. Are you going to tell me the video doesn't exist? Certainly it exists. And if it doesn't exist, why doesn't it exist? The FBI could shut it all down right now. Why are you going to podcast audiences and asking them to believe stuff that's unbelievable? Why are you going to podcast audiences and trying to water down conspiracy theories because you're convinced that the official narrative is real? If you should be pleading with anybody right now, it's the FBI. It's the DOJ. Why are you doing this? What is the podcast tour? What is the constant show after show after show? And then it's like this lecturing of the American people. And it's like this browbeating. It's like, hey, you don't like where the coverage is going? You want to take issue with some of it? That's fine. But if you're directing this towards a podcast audience, then nothing is going to change. You're only making it worse. If you want to stop the conspiracy theories, tell the FBI to release the video. And I see the people, they're saying, well, they can't release their evidence. They got to protect this and the jury pool being tainted and all this other stuff. Well, hold on a second. Let's analyze these theories. We're worried about tainting the jury pool. They're out here every day saying Tyler Robinson is guilty, folks. They're literally out here every day telling you Tyler Robinson is guilty. That doesn't taint the jury pool. Stop it. This isn't about tainting a jury pool. And that's bullcrap. This is about the FBI and the DOJ, essentially, I don't know how else to explain it, running a cover-up. I don't know how else to explain it. They're running a cover-up. They haven't even done a press conference, folks. They had that fake press conference right after it happened where they didn't take any questions and they didn't present any evidence. And then all the evidence that they've presented since has holes in it, massive holes, and doesn't add up. How can you be mad at the American people? We don't trust anything. We've been lied to our entire lives. How can you be upset at the American people? How can you be upset at a podcast audience? If you want the conspiracy theory shut down, then call your friends at the FBI and tell them to release the tapes. It's that simple. The FBI could shut it all down tomorrow. All they have to do is a real press conference with evidence. They've done nothing. Don't tell me they can't do it. Don't tell me they're building a case. Stop it. I was not born yesterday. We have been through major incidents like this, and there's always multiple press conferences, and there's always some layout to explain to the American people what happened every single time. And they've done none of it. They have done none of it. They do this drip, drip, drip with all these holes and all these inconsistencies and all these impossibilities, and then they lecture you if you don't believe it. It's very simple. The FBI could convince everybody right now if they wanted to, and they could release all of the video. That's it. We're not looking for your entire case. We're not asking for the entire file. Just show us the video. It's all you have to do. You're showing us some of the video, so why not show us all of the video? Anybody that's telling you they can't do it for court reasons, or they can't do it for legal reasons, or they can't do it because of the case, they're lying to you. Why do they get to selectively decide what video you see? You want to shut down the conspiracy theorist? Release the video. It's that simple. It's really that simple. So don't go on to a podcast. Don't lecture a podcast audience. Don't do the 10,000th show from Charlie Kirk's studio telling people to believe something that's unbelievable, and then be upset when they don't. And then be upset when there's this massive void that gets filled. Somebody's going to step into that void. Somebody's going to step into the void lost, the void of trust and transparency. Somebody's going to step into that void. And if you don't like it, then fill the void with the truth. Fill the void with the evidence. But the problem now is if they do decide to do it at this point, nobody's going to believe it. No one's going to believe it. It's too late now. It's too late. You waited too long. You let the conspiracy theories fluster and flounder and build and get momentum, and now it's created a whole new genre. It's a whole new genre now. It's like an entire new genre of content now. And there is nobody to blame except the FBI and the DOJ. Don't go after the American people. Don't go after a talk show host. Don't go after a podcast audience. If you're upset at what has happened in the aftermath of this, with the American people questioning the government and not trusting the government, then you're missing it. Don't go after them. Go after the FBI and the DOJ that is yet to present a convincing case to the public, and really, quite frankly, is not even trying. So if you want to stop the conspiracy theories, that's what you have to do. But it's just like, oh, no, let's just go back into the studio. Let's just go on another podcast. Let's just do more promotions. It's not helping. It's not helping. And so then Tucker Carlson is starting to, I guess, he's opening up a little bit more about this. He went on the Theo Von podcast, and this was earlier this week. He then released a video today I'm going to play after this, but here he was on Theo Von.
Who was Charlie Kirk?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I love his wife and know his wife well. And so I feel emotional about it. So, I just haven't wanted everything to do with it. But I will say a couple of things. I don't understand the official story at all.
Of his assassination, you mean?
I don't understand it, and I want to make sure that there is a truly rigorous and honest federal investigation of it, and I'm definitely concerned about that. A, B, I think that one of the, I don't know many of the details, but I know that recently Candace said that Egyptian registered aircraft were following Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, around for a number of years in different places in the world. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. And I just want to say that that is factually true. That's true. So that's like the one data point that I happen to know is true. What does that mean? I have literally no idea. I can't even guess, but that's very, very strange.
And what is Egyptian? It could mean aircraft from Egypt. Who knows?
I think that they were registered in Egypt.
Got it.
And but that fact is true. So and it also her claim that, there were kind of a disproportionately large number of foreign registered cell phones at the event. That's also true. So what does that add up to? I don't know, but it means that, the FBI has a moral and legal obligation to look in every direction and to be open-minded as you would in any investigation, in journalism, in science. It's all the same process. I don't know the answer, and I'm going to sift through everything as open-mindedly as I can, as honestly as I can, to get to what the truth is. That's science, that's law enforcement, that's journalism. It's all the same. That's justice. And I just want to make sure that is happening. And I just don't have a ton of confidence in the FBI or the men who run it. And I'm not saying that out of ignorance at all.
That's a scary part too.
What Candace is saying is clearly causing a lot of turmoil. Is it true or not? I can't assess it. I'm not the FBI. I'm a freaking podcaster, but I do know how the system works, and it's really simple. The FBI has this case, and of course the state of Utah. It's their job to not only find out what happened, present it to the public in a way that restores some confidence that you can have justice in this country. We have functioning law enforcement. I don't have confidence in that because there's a lot of evidence that we don't have that. So restore confidence by being honest and telling a story that makes sense. So why, and if they don't do that, and they haven't done that, they have not done that, how can you be mad at Candace Owens or anyone else for filling a vacuum that they left?
Yeah.
Well, Candace is okay. No, the people with the authority are the ones responsible, and they're the ones who should be held responsible when there's a failure. Not some podcaster, not me, not you, not Candace, the people whose job it is. And their default assumption was we acted alone. Really? Why do you think that? What about life suggests that people typically act alone? When was the last time you acted alone in anything? I don't go, right? So A. B, we know that people had foreknowledge of this because they posted about it on X and said Charlie Kirk is going to be killed on this date, and he was.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
But were they just guessing? Was it a guessing thing where every day they posted that?
Maybe. Have those people been interviewed? Have they been hauled into FBI HQ and had a long conversation with how they knew that? Let's get really specific. Why did you post that? Who have you talked to? If I were doing this investigation, because I spent my whole life doing non-criminal investigations called journalism, what do we know is true? How do we find out? Call everybody, be open-minded. It's it's the same process. If I was doing this investigation, they would be at the very top of the list. We know, because we've got public postings on Twitter that people know, just like on 9/11, we know people bet against American Airlines and the banks that were in the World Trade Centers. They shorted those stocks. Those people clearly had foreknowledge of 9/11. Who were those people? We still don't know. So I would start there.
But so you're saying that just the fact that there could possibly be some foreknowledge should be investigated.
Well, there was foreknowledge because I saw the tweets. And so I saw at least two that said, everything's going to change when Charlie Kirk gets to the college in Utah.
Okay.
So those people, I'm not saying they're a part of a conspiracy, but there's evidence that they had foreknowledge. Okay. So that's where you begin. And then I could go on. Tell me how this guy who seemed normal became a radical trans furry murderer. It's not enough to tell me, oh, trans. I'm not pro-trans, by the way.
But was that the guy or his boyfriend?
Well, exactly right. Tell me how this guy became so radicalized that he murdered a stranger. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I want an explanation for how it happened. Why wouldn't I?
I agree.
But why do people like Candace so much? She's an amazing broadcaster, yes, because they sense in her, she might be wrong. Is she lying to me? Not on purpose. They sense the purity of her intent. That's the truth. And I can say, as someone who's dealt with government officials my whole life.
Well, that'll tick people off. People disagree with that assessment.
I'm not vouching for everything Candace claims. I don't even know a lot of what she claims because I'm working on other stuff, and it makes me sad also. But the point is, do I trust Candace more than I trust your average DOJ official? Are you joking? It's not even close, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can disagree with any of that logic. I don't know how you can disagree with any of that logic or the conclusions or lack thereof that Tucker is reaching or not reaching or expressing there. I want to pull up his follow-up video today. But I would say this. I would say this to the official narrative believers. I would just ask this. If you're an official narrative believer that this was a left-wing assassin, a left-wing terrorist, you officially believe that that was the case, then again, why is your frustration not being directed at the administration? Why aren't you up in arms that the FBI and the DOJ have not dismantled and arrested all of these left-wing terrorists and the people that fund and organize this activity? Why? Or I guess I could ask a different question. I could ask, what has the administration done? What has the DOJ or the FBI done to investigate, expose, and bring down this left-wing terror network that just killed Charlie Kirk? If you're an official narrative believer, what have they done? Or why aren't they doing it? You can't direct your frustration at the American people that have nothing to do with these decisions. You can't direct your frustration at the American people for asking perfectly fair and reasonable questions or raising perfectly fair and reasonable suspicions, whether they do it in the tone of a Tucker Carlson or in the tone of a Candace Owens. When things don't add up, we know they're corrupt, and we're going to start trying to figure out the formula to make it add up, folks. And when you do that, you start to reach conclusions that people don't like, whether they're right or wrong. The frustration here has to be at the administration. And this is where there's like this denial happening with the Trump loyalists, cultists, and cheerleaders. It's like, oh, they can do no wrong. The administration can do no wrong. And our role is to be cheerleaders for the administration. That's our role here. So again, I just say to the official narrative believers, we all watched the same thing. We all saw the same thing. To the official narrative believers, where is your frustration with the administration? Why aren't you directing this frustration at the FBI and the DOJ? That's where it should be going. Candace Owens, love her or hate her, she has nothing to do with the official investigation. She's serving what she views as a purpose to fill the void that is left from the lack of an investigation or the lack of transparency or answers that the American people have and are demanding. And the more you direct the frustration at the American people, the more they're going to look at you suspiciously, by the way. And what does that do? That just makes your frustration grow. And then you continue to direct it at the wrong people. And you continue to send it in the wrong direction. And you continue to get no answers and no results. And an American public that doesn't trust the official story. And is now getting suspicious of anybody that does, by the way. And how can you blame them? How can you blame them? Now, Tucker followed up with this today. A very well-measured, well-rounded statement, of which I've expressed on this show many times, and I think it's very reasonable. And I think a lot of people fall in the same mindset, maybe more specifically in the media, because of different personal relations and other complications that come along with every decision you make, especially covering a story as heavy as this. But here's Tucker Carlson expressing where he's at today.
In the 3 months since Charlie Kirk was murdered, I've really tried not to comment on the murder investigation in public. And it's not because I don't care, of course. I love Charlie and knew him well since he was a teenager. But I haven't said anything about it. I really tried not to say anything about it. First, because I don't really know anything that everyone else doesn't know. I've asked around, but of course, how do you know what the truth is? But the other reason I haven't said anything is because I know personally a number of the people involved in what's now become a very large story. I know them really well. And I really think a lot of all of them on every side. Candace Owens, I've known a long time. I love Candace Owens. Blake Neff at TPUSA once worked for me at a couple of different places, and I love Blake Neff. Erica Kirk, I've known since she was dating Charlie Kirk, and I love Erica Kirk. And I think these are all really, really decent people. And so it's been my desire for 3 months not to get involved in any of this. And in general, to think to myself, anybody who is earnestly searching for the truth, whether they're right or wrong, but as long as they're motivated by a desire to find out what happened and therefore honor Charlie's memory by getting to justice, anyone who's doing that, I'm not going to criticize. Again, no matter what track they're on, lots of us, and this has certainly happened to me, have good moments, but good motives, but wind up in the wrong place. But it's a sincere mistake. So that definitely happens. I have done that, and so I've just wanted to stay out. And then the other day, I had like a 3-hour conversation with Theo Vaughn, and it was not about Charlie Kirk or anything related to it, but that topic came up. And I said, in effect, I don't trust the FBI. And that gave some people the impression that I was, accusing them of being involved in Charlie's assassination. And of course, I wasn't. And I certainly didn't mean to. But it gives me the chance now to say what I think, which is that we should not necessarily trust the FBI. And by the way, why would we? It's not an attack on, the political leadership of it. I've known Dan Bongino, for example, for a long time, and like Dan, and don't imagine he would ever be involved in intentionally covering up a murder of somebody. I don't believe that. But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, for that matter, are at the top of the org chart, but this is a huge organization, and parts of it act independently from leadership. That's the nature of bureaucracy. So saying, well, I like Dan Bongino and don't think he would do something wrong on purpose, which is how I feel, doesn't mean that I trust the FBI or have to trust the FBI. And again, why would I? If there's one lesson of the last election, the 2024 election, it's that a lot of our biggest systems, our biggest institutions have rot in them, and that needs to be reformed. And as if we needed more proof of it, we'd learned what a lot of us suspected for years, that January 6th was in effect a setup, and the FBI was key to that setup. And it's still not clear that everyone involved in that setup at the FBI has been fired or punished for that. So no person, no American is under some moral obligation to believe everything the government tells you, particularly institutions or agencies that have a long documented, factually documented track record of committing crimes, participating illegally in our political system, for example, as the FBI has done, manufacturing crimes, setting people up, distorting justice. That's the opposite of their job, of course, which is to get to justice through facts and then to tell the rest of us how they arrived at this conclusion, to prove to the rest of us that the right people are being punished. So we're not under any obligation. Of course, we shouldn't invent theories to discredit the FBI, but it's not enough to have government officials tell us, well, this is the truth. We have a right, probably an obligation, to say, well, can you prove it? And if you can't, I don't have to believe you. So if there's one thing that bothers me above all about the investigation into Charlie Kirk, is that is getting lost. As people argue over what happened, we are potentially letting our largest federal law enforcement agency off the hook. It is the job of the FBI to find out what happened and to tell the rest of us, not hide behind, well, it's national security, confidential sources. No, tell us what happened. Show us what happened. Convince us what happened. That's your job. And we shouldn't accept anything less. And by the way, when we do accept something less, then, new explanations fill the vacuum left by the FBI, which we pay to explain to us what happened. And so I'm going to really do my best not to talk about things I don't understand, state things as though I know them when I don't know them. I'm going to do my best to stay out of it because I love Charlie and I want justice to be done in this case. But the rest of us should remain skeptical. We have a duty to remain skeptical, and we should not be ashamed of our skepticism. Thanks.
Now, remember this, a little context. Tucker Carlson is the man that Charlie Kirk fought for to continue to speak at his events despite the consequences. Charlie Kirk fought for Tucker Carlson despite the major consequences of that. And Tucker Carlson is the man that Charlie Kirk said to go max before one of the last times they were together at an event. He said, go max. So a little context to the perhaps gravity or importance of Tucker Carlson's take on the issue right there. All right, let me see if there's anything else I really feel the need to cover. Ukraine peace deal falling apart. They're pitching it that Trump is siding with Russia. No, I think Trump is just siding with the reality that the war is lost. But, okay, we kind of covered that. There's some other geopolitical stuff here. I'm not trying to get into it in the last 20 minutes. Let's see, other news. Yeah, I got some other Elon Musk news that can wait. I think there was one other story I wanted to cover. Let me see if I can find it. Otherwise, I'll just take some phone calls. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into the other geopolitical news with 20 minutes left in the show. So I think I'll just open the phone lines and we can just have some leftovers for tomorrow. We'll just do that. I'm going through what we have left on the desk, and I don't think I'm too desperate to cover any of this stuff. So I don't know. Maybe you want to know about the Time Athlete of the Year. The Time Athlete of the Year. Asia Wilson is the Time Athlete of the Year. Have you ever heard of her? Probably not. Can you give the Athlete of the Year to an athlete that nobody has ever heard of? And it's not like there's female athletes that don't get extreme popularity and notoriety. And it's ironic because obviously the most notable names in the WNBA, one is Caitlin Clark, who some people would think is the best player in the NBA. And then the other is Angel Reese, who some people would think is the best player in the WNBA, even though she sucks. But then there's Asia Wilson, who wins the award. And the truth is, she is probably the most dominant basketball player maybe in WNBA history. I mean, she's it's actually insane how much she is dominating the sport, but yet nobody knows who she is. So is this just another DEI award? Is this just another woke, leftist, liberal, progressive agenda giving it to Asia Wilson? She doesn't get the notoriety for the game that she has. She is by far the best female basketball player on the planet. There's nobody even close. Athlete of the Year. Have you ever even heard of her? No, you don't care. So let's do this. Let's open up phone lines. Let's take a couple calls. Your response to, I'd like to hear what you think about that Venezuela oil raid, the oil tanker raid. I'd be curious to hear thoughts on that. 747-200-5560. 747-200-5560. Phone lines are up. Phone lines are up. All right, remember, one line, you're on the air. So here we go. First caller of the show. What's your name, where you're from?
Josh from Arcadia.
All right, Josh, go ahead.
Did Jerry Bruckheimer direct that video from the whole landing on the oil ship? What was that, man?
So the news broke about, well, now it's, I guess, about 5 or 6 hours ago, And they had that video edited and ready to go within hours. So I don't know when the actual raid took place. I guess you could crank out an edit like that in less than an hour. But yeah, that's was I watching a movie? Was that Full Metal Jacket?
All the dramatics from coming down the rope and we're doing this. Oh, look at our military. What in the hell are we living in, brother? We all voted this in here. I'm just waiting for the end credits to roll. What are we in?
But see, that's what I was saying. If you were listening, I think it was on Monday, I did the analogy. We got a long season ahead, brother. We got a long season ahead. There's no changing of the guard anytime soon.
Oh, no.
Get ready. This is going to be a long, painful process. I happen to have witnessed the, I guess it would have been like 2007 through 2011. I was living in St. Louis. I was working in the sports media. The St. Louis Rams were the St. Louis Rams. They weren't the Los Angeles Rams. It was the worst 5-year stretch in sports history. The St. Louis Rams. They couldn't win a game. They sucked. And so it's like one of those things.
That was after the Marshall Faulk years and all that.
Yeah, after the glory days. After the glory days, the Rams had the worst. The St. Louis Rams had the worst 5-year stretch of any team in NFL history. And so it was a painful 5 years for Rams fans, but that's what it's like. It's like we're stuck. It's like we know nothing is going to change. We're stuck in this season. We're already 0-3, 0-4. You're done. The season is over, but you still got to finish the games. You still got to get to the next calendar, the next schedule. So nothing's changing, man. This is it. This is our fate. We're stuck with it.
No, it's maddening, man. This whole thing that we're going through. This is like it's like you say every day. We had the election. What the hell is the breakdown? And I'm telling you, it's Israeli influence. It's all of that, man.
What's so crazy, and I said this today, and I thank you for the call. I don't understand this messaging, this like delivery posture of we didn't just win an election. It's like, wait a second, guys, we just won the election. Why are you talking like we lost the election? Why are you sitting here like we need to do all of this stuff for the midterms? It's like, we just won the election. We should be doing stuff now. Now's when we do stuff. And they don't demand results. Instead, they act like we're in a losing position politically. And they're like, oh, we need to start doing this stuff. It's like, we just won the election. What are you talking about? Very odd. I got to say, I don't get it. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
Owl Killer calling from Virginia.
Oh, what's up, Owl Killer?
All right, so now I just something is really I think there's a lot of disinformation agents being sent into the alternative media recently. You remember a guy? I'm just going to use the last name. Began with a P. He used to call into your old show, and he kept. Remember Mr. Watermark ballots, and he's the guy that first.
You're talking about Steve Pachinik? Steve Pachinik?
There you go. He's the guy that first came up with the Sandy Hook crap, by the way. So I just saw, look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I apologize to Patrick Byrne, but the guy is a flake as far as I'm concerned. And he's been on a few shows recently talking about how Venezuela, with these voting machines, has been overthrowing elections. The jackal stepdaughters are running this super sun cartel or whatever it is. Look, if that's the case, what we're doing is completely justified. But present that damn evidence to the American people.
And here's the thing. Let me hold your thought. I'm sorry to do this to you, but let me just respond quickly. Even if that is true about the voting machine stuff, then these actions still don't make any sense. So even if that is true, that doesn't really justify, in my eyes, what's going on. I think I still think it's something else. As far as Patrick Byrne is concerned, I've met Patrick multiple times. I know a lot of people that know him better than I do, and I think he's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad actor. You know, he did just come out though and tell Emerald Robinson.
CIA.
Yeah, I think it was Emerald. He told that he was under the CIA and he got advanced by Obama. I think he's an honest person. I've always got good vibes from Patrick. But here's what I think happens. because there's all kinds of different personalities out there, right? There's like an Elon Musk personality. There's a Patrick Byrne personality. There's an Owen Schroyer personality, whatever. And everybody kind of responds to the political world differently, specifically when you realize how corrupt it is. And so everybody kind of responds to that differently, and they kind of have their own inner communication on that, and then they have their own outward communication on that. So everybody handles that realization a little differently. So I look at it, from Patrick's standpoint, I just think that that's from somebody that was on the inside and from somebody who's had success on the outside and just kind of wades into the political world. And then it's like, wow, look at all this corruption. I think people just respond to it in a different way. And not everybody is not everybody's a public speaker. Not everybody has the skills or training or whatever to properly process the information and then communicate it publicly. So they just kind of get in there, maybe a little overwhelmed, and then maybe their presentation is a little clunky. Not that I disagree that there aren't bad actors that have infiltrated, but if you're insinuating that Patrick is one of them, I just have to say I reject that.
Well, my point is with that, he just said last week on Alex that the CIA was his red line. He would never cross it. Then he goes on yesterday with Kyle Serafim right after him or before him, I forget. And Kyle Serafim was, and look, I want to believe this guy, but he was the one that was saying that it was that Butch with the pipe bomb. It was that Butch chick that broke her leg that was working for the D.C. police. She hurt her leg in college. And then who gets arrested? We get the guy that gets arrested is Blank Man.
Steve Urkel?
Literally Blank. Yeah. So what the hell is going on? There's so much information overload. And no, seriously, because the Gateway Pundit's been running for two articles on this general that is turned himself over in 2020 to the United States. And this guy admitted to overthrowing elections and running drugs for Maduro. If that is the case, because Patrick Byrne was conveying that when Elon Musk saw this information, he said, oh, I have to back Trump. Why is Musk not telling us this? If this is the case, why doesn't Trump just come out and tell us this? That would what I really think is going on with Venezuela is you want to cut Brazil off from BRICS. You got two countries that border it to the north that would intervene if we did a color revolution or something inside of Brazil, because Brazil, whether we like it or not, it's a socialist, and they're in bed with Russia, they're in bed with China. And
they just put a corrupt criminal in as their president, and they stole it from Trump's ally Bolsonaro. I wish that was going on. I don't think so. I think Trump has abandoned Bolsonaro and abandoned Brazil, and it's actually really sad. Actually, it's pathetic, quite frankly. I think it's pathetic.
That would be the only sense I see. But going into when I'm talking about the disinformation, did you see Charlie Kirk's widow come out and attack Candace Owens? Didn't name her, but
I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I'm not going on the Erica Kirk route. She can handle this however she wants, and I'm just not going there. I'm not going there. So, and it's funny. Maybe not now. It's not now. Not for me. It's not necessary either. There's enough people that are doing it, so I'm not going there. Way too toxic. The whole thing is too toxic. Like I said, a month or so ago when I told everybody, look, here's the conclusion that I have reached, and I'm out until there's new developments. So I guess you could say her doing the media tour is a new development, but you can just go listen to what she says and you can decide for yourself. I'm not going down that road. But you see, it's funny he brings up these names, and I get along with it. Pretty much everybody in the media. There's only a couple of people that I can think of right now off the top of my head that I maybe don't get along with. Well, I'll just leave it at that for now. But see, this is why I've kind of reached this conclusion, and maybe I address this now. And I talked about, I was a little late today because I had an extended business meeting, but I don't really need to get into that. And I have also people suggesting that, I need to do more guest interviews or more podcasts. And I've just reached the conclusion through experience, and I've just reached the conclusion through my own studying of the industry, if you will, my own experience, my own studies of it, that it's like that's the problem. Whenever you associate with somebody, all of a sudden, all of their baggage gets put on you. And I'm just not here for that. And it's not even like, okay, if the time is right to defend somebody or to stand up for somebody that's, had a wrong done to them or, whatever it is, if it's a news story or, it's a friend of mine. It's like there's a time and place. There's a time and place. And people that know me know I am an extremely loyal person. But for what it is I'm trying to do, it's like I have to make decisions. I have to make decisions, and the decisions that I make have to be based on the desired outcome that I'm trying to achieve. So it's like, yeah, I could do a bunch of podcast interviews, but it hurts my final product. It hurts the final product of this show when I do that. Because now it's like I'm firing around on all these different cylinders and doing all these different shows, and then you kind of lose track of what's going on here, or you forget of what you said here, what you didn't, and it's just like I've decided I've really limit my guest appearances now. Would it make me bigger? Would it make me more famous? Would it make me more rich? I don't know. Am I interested in that stuff? If it serves my purpose, if it serves the goals I wish to achieve, I guess, but I'm not here for that. I don't care. I'm not here to be rich. I'm not here to be famous. In fact, I've gotten a taste of that. It's not so fun, actually. It's like, there are parts of it that are fun, but overall, But that's what I'm saying. It's like I interview somebody or I go on somebody's podcast, and it's like all of a sudden all of their baggage is my baggage. It's like, well, he did this or he said that, and I'm not mad at the caller. It was a good call. It's just like that's why I just don't do it anymore. I'm not here to carry everybody else's baggage. I'm not here to have you with whatever issue you have of this person bring that baggage on to me. I kind of had to do that for 10 years of my life with somebody else. So I'm kind of over it, to be honest. And then the other thing I've learned, and this is why I'm being very meticulous as far as my measuring how I'm going to cover, well, a lot of news, but specifically the Charlie Kirk assassination and the conspiracy theories and all the different positions in the commentary world on it. I've just decided, again, this is all based off of my own experience. This is all based off of my own studying of the industry. And I'd say for a 36-year-old man, I've got quite a bit of experience under my belt. I've pretty much seen a lot in the media world specifically. And I know what pitches to swing at. I know when it's time to take a ball. I know the difference between a ball and a strike. I know the difference between a fastball and a curveball. And I also know that maybe you swing at a strike and miss, and so you learn and you say, you know what, when it's that pitch in that location, it's better I just don't swing. It's better I just don't swing at that pitch in that location. Maybe in a different count, I might swing at that pitch. But sometimes you got to take a strike. Sometimes you take a strike. Sometimes you take a strike because you want the count to change and you want the account in a different stance. So this is just my measurement. So I just want to have the highest batting average. I don't want to get involved in the drama. I don't want to deal with other people's baggage. And you know what? Whatever God wants to happen is going to happen. But if you're going to tune in here 3 hours a day, I don't want you to waste your time. And I'm not perfect, but I don't want you to waste your time. I want you to come and get news that's relevant, that's directional, that's consistent, that is based in logic and reasoning, that makes sense. The news I think is relevant, the news I think that you care about, to paint the larger picture, to have the better understanding. So it's like, yeah, I could do a bunch of interviews and get bigger and more famous and more rich and all this stuff. And I could swing at the balls in the dirt, and I could swing at the knuckleballs. I'm just not, it ain't me. And I don't think that changes anytime soon. So, hey, that's what you're going to get. Yeah, you know what you're going to get, I think. You know, we're about a month and a half into the show. So I think you pretty much know. You know what you're going to get, you know what you're not going to get. And we're going to get another caller here before we sign off. All right, next caller. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hey, it's Jacob in New York.
All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Well, I hope I didn't just spoil my question, but I was going to ask you, is there anything about the Charlie Kirk narrative that you are certain about? And you know, just as an objective observer, is it okay to say that Candace Owens is probably batshit crazy, but we also don't buy the official narrative?
I think it's a fair stance to take. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'm not. It's why I don't get into it. It's like as soon as I have a comment on Candace Owens, now it's like pick a side or.
But why isn't anybody willing to pick a side? Because she's got a weird marriage with a non-American. She's a woman.
But that's my point. Like, why? Why do I care? Like, why is this relevant to what I'm doing?
That's fair. I respect it, but.
So I get where you're coming from. Like, I understand.
It's a problem with the movement, though, Owen. Like, she's subverting the whole movement. She's making it seem like, oh, if you don't believe the conspiracy narrative that I'm pushing, then you believe.
So okay, so let's go with this. Let's go with this line of thinking. And then I would respond and I would say, who's making you listen to Candace Owens?
Freaking social media. All I do is see.
No. You can block it. You don't have to watch that.
Egyptian planes in the dream.
Okay, so there you go. So there you go. See now. So this is exactly where I wanted this to go. This is exactly where I thought it would go. So there you go. So I'm not doing that. You understand? I'm not doing that to you. I'm not doing that. I'm not sitting here playing the clips, getting involved in the drama. I understand what you're saying. It's like you can't avoid it. So I get it.
We just say she's a fucking idiot. Like,
so nobody's stopping you from saying that. Nobody's watching you make her clips. So, you know, I don't know what you want.
I'm not calling you out for anything, Owen. I just feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to take a side on it, yada, yada. And it's just kind of weird to me. Like Ian Carroll, I don't know what happened to him. Like he's all into Red Lobster conspiracies, I guess. Like, nobody's willing to say like, hey, these are weird conspiracies that she's coming up with, and they're not rooted in any fact, you know. And it.
Well, I would disagree. I mean, people are saying that every day. It's like created a whole genre now.
Right. I mean, it's newer in the past week or couple weeks, but I was just curious if you had any certainty about any of the, you know, narratives being pushed about it, but. Nothing to attack you.
Well, look. No. I don't mind the call. I think it's a great call. And I think that what you're expressing right now is common for somebody that you probably spend a lot of time reading news, social media, whatever. So you're overwhelmed with this stuff. So I think it's a perfectly fair question to try to get me get an opinion on or get me to answer. But I just go back to what I'm saying. It's like what I said before. You didn't spoil the call. It actually made it better. It's like what I said before. I'm not here to carry everybody's baggage. Just like you bring up these issues with Candace Owens. I've maybe played one Candace Owens clip, maybe. I don't even know if I ever played one. I don't know. But it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not here to carry Candace Owens' baggage, and I'm also not here to promote Candace Owens' show. So it's like, what? And so I get your frustration. I get your frustration, but it's like, I'm trying not to do that person.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're taking the high road, and that's ultimately, you know, the route to go. I just wish more people that were aligned with her in the past might come out and say, hey, like, this is fucking crazy. And it's honestly psychotic. Like, it's honestly, like, mentally deranged at this point. But
I'm curious, do you wonder if a lot of this isn't all fake? Do you wonder? I got to say, sometimes I do.
100%, Owen. Everything about her is fake.
I don't mean her. I mean like all the drama right now. I mean all the drama and the infighting and the new stories and the new how much of that do you think is real versus and that's the thing. I can't answer that question. I can only speak for myself. I don't know.
Owen, you know what I'll say is when there's been a whole narrative about Nick, you know, getting the call and taking the bag and whatever. But then, you know, he came out and he said, all of my arguments against Israel are rooted in incontestable fact. And that is so true, right? And unless you're willing to bring incontestable facts to the table, then you're subverting the movement. And that's how I feel. And I feel like that's how a lot of people feel. And at this point, like, it's just getting crazy to the point where, like, there's no credit behind any conspiracy theory or any, like, fringe narrative, you know? So
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. And so that's why I just take it as I don't really look at the person as much as I look at what they're saying. And so if I think what they're saying is good, then I'll consider it. If I think what they're saying is bad, then I'll toss it out the window. And I think, too, that, and I appreciate the call. It's a good call. It's an interesting subject of discussion. And I wouldn't go there either. So the caller takes me there, but it's totally fair as we sign off the show today. I may have said this yesterday. It may have been in a private conversation, but this is part of my experience in the media, folks. And I've seen this everywhere. I've gone in the media. People tend to overextend themselves to a degree of desperation. And this is it's like a psychological phenomenon of a popularity contest. And then it's also just a bottom line of financially. And I think a lot of people have overextended themselves in these two realms. And so then it becomes like a desperation thing. It becomes a desperation thing of keeping the views up. It becomes a desperation thing of continuing to fund their lavish lifestyle and their budgets. And so they overextend themselves. And then it becomes out of necessity that they create this drama out of necessity for more money or more fame or a combination. They create this drama and they just get trapped. They get trapped and then they don't know what else to do. And it just kind of becomes habitual. And then they start to lose it. And so maybe there's a lot of that going on. But I just say, look, I can get along with anybody as long as you're an honest person and I think you're acting in good faith. I can get along with anybody. It's how I've been my whole life. It's how I've been in the media. I won't discount. I mean, obviously, there's some people are just outright liars. Obviously, there's some people that are just outright propaganda agents and liars. And okay, all right. I just want to know what you think, what you say. Does it add up? Does it make sense? Can I corroborate it? Am I reaching the same conclusions? I'm not interested in the petty bickering. I'm not interested in the popularity contests. I'm not interested in the desperate need for attention or access. It's really nice, actually, I got to say. It's really nice. And folks, I had everything I wanted in media about 10 years ago. I didn't want to get into politics. I got into politics because where the country was going in the future and civilization and humanity, or more than anything, I just saw how much we're lied to. Folks, I wanted to be in the sports media. I had access to everything. I had credentials to everything. I could go to any event. I could do any job. That's what I wanted. I had it. So I'm not into that. I'm not here for fame. I'm not here for fortune. I'm here to change the world. That's it. That's what I want to see. And I think we've done it. I think we've done it successfully. So now there's this scramble of what does it mean to change the world? And who is in it? Who is a true believer? And who is in it to change the world versus who's in it for fame, who's in it for fortune, who's in it for access, who just wants to take the pictures and live the hoity-toity lifestyle and look down on the rest of us peasants? I'm just not interested. I literally have zero interest. I have zero interest. What I'm interested in, it's people that want to be informed and people that want to see and be the change in the world like I do. And then putting out information and talking about things that might open minds, might open eyes, might get people to better understand the world that they live in. So, yeah, I'm not going to be getting into any of the personality conflicts. I don't think any of them will be directed at me. We had one instance a couple of months ago, but that's a separate issue. I'm not into it. I don't think most people are into it. I'm not desperate. I'm not overextended. And honestly, I just kind of see it all deteriorating. And people tend to forget that, you know, there will be a year from now. There will be a year from now. And where are you going to be in a year from now? And what are people going to think about you in a year from now? And how are the things as they develop and digress or transgress and all the other evolutions in the news cycle? Where does that put you in a year from now? What are you going to remember? What are you going to be remembered for in a year from now? Waving the pom-poms for Trump, running government propaganda, running foreign propaganda, getting involved in a personality conflict. I don't know if that's going to be the fate of people or not, but I know that it won't be my fate. I do know that. And that's all I have control over. And that's all I want control over. Well, that's it for today. It's a light end of the show. Just figured we'd close lightly. Blame the caller, not me. He did that. He did that. That's it. The Trump Gold Card. It's official, the Trump Gold Card. We got a Trump Gold Card as we're taking down Venezuelan oil tankers and having multiple phone calls and sessions with Netanyahu, running cover for him with the International Criminal Court. What's going on, guys? What's going on, MAGA? Where are the deep state arrests? Where is the complete dissolution, dissolvement, and takedown of the left-wing terror network and its funders and organizers? Where are the arrests for the stolen election of 2020? Where are the arrests for Spygate and Russiagate and Benghazi and Fast and Furious and the censorship and the bioweapon named as COVID? Where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? I will not be distracted. We all know there are criminals running the country. Where are the arrests? That's all. Good night, good luck, God bless, Godspeed. 21-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow.